Hi, good morning. Good morning, guys. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Friday weekly Ask Me Any Stock session. If you guys can see and hear me, you can see my screen as well. Let's get started. Type a GM for good morning. Let me just acknowledge all of you. I think we have more than 50 and I think more than 50, 60 of you joining us. Let's allow more people to join us, right? Slowly, but just type a GM for good morning. If this is working, if you can see, hear me loud and clear, just want to acknowledge all of you. Thank you so much, Andy. Hi, Binpo as well. I think you're asking about Nam Chong. Apologies. Today is the US market. Exactly, right? It's for US stocks. Good morning, Ray, as well. Hi, John, Brandon. Good to see you as well. I think a lot of familiar names joining us every single Friday. Hi, Rai as well. Good to see you here. Simon, Chan as well. Good morning. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the Friday Ask Me Any Stock session. And today we'll be talking about the US market, right? So every Friday since last year, right, we go live, we pretty much cover the stocks that you guys are asking about, right? And we alternate between the Singapore and the US market. So last Friday was like a public holiday, right? Labor Day. So there was no session. But the previous session was on the Singapore market, right? So today we'll be back to the US market, right? So if you're looking at the US market, US stocks, right? You are in the right place. You stand a chance for your stock to be analyzed live using my one good trend strategy. All right. So we'll try our best to cover as many stocks as possible. But essentially, if you're looking at US stocks, you're looking to buy, you have some, you don't know what to do, whether to get in, to get out, to wait, to do nothing, don't know what to do, right? That's what we'll do. Hopefully, we can cover your US stocks. Okay, Ken? So would it be okay, guys? Would it be okay if you help me to like and share? Help me to like and share. This help us to reach out to more people, all right? And more people can get more value from today's session. That would definitely help out the channel. And of course, if you have not yet hit the subscribe button, right, on the YouTube channel, I think there should be a bell icon at the top. Or maybe if you're joining us from Facebook, you have a live on Facebook as well. Hit the follow button so that when we go live, you will not miss out. All right. Thank you so much for those of you who have subscribed. Hit the like button. Really appreciate. Hit the share as well. Thank you so much. Okay. So let's get started today. We'll do a quick market outlook. All right. What has happened in the markets? Where are we right now for the S&P 500 index? Maybe even the Nasdaq. Are we seeing strength? Right. Maybe you might want to be careful because we might start to come all the way down. All right. Or could there even be more upside, right? That's what we'll do, what some of the factors affecting the market. And then we'll move on to the next segment, which I think the segment that all of you are keen in, which would be pretty much to cover the US stocks that you guys want a quick opinion on. So very simple, all right? What we'll do is that we'll go one by one, round robin. I'll pass the mic to Jia Yi. My team will pass on the mic to Z as well. And we'll go round robin style. We'll try to cover about 15 over US stocks, all right? And I think some of you are already typing in the name of the US stocks in the chat, all right? Like, Ryan, Western Digital, Wally, Oracle, NVDA, Meta. So very simple, guys. Right? Before you type the name of any US stocks, basically, please don't type in like 5 names or 10 names and then, like, no, we probably wouldn't choose you, right? So would it be okay if one person, one name, all right, and one stock name, and not just a name, give us the context. Give us context, like for example, NVIDIA or Meta, one name, and what you want to do is to give us a bit of context as to what you want to know about this stock. Like, are you looking to buy? You want to sell? Or maybe you bought last week, last month, what price? Give us a bit of context. That is where we will give you more priority since you put in the time and effort to type the stock, and also give us a bit of understanding of what you actually want to know about it. We will give you more priority. Like Simon, wow, thanks for giving us. You see, wow, I type so much. I think I will sure choose you one now, right? Because you really spend the effort to type a Morgan Stanley, okay? Right? I don't know, I haven't read yet, but it seems like a lot of things, right? But give us a bit of context. We'll definitely give you more priority. Does it make sense, one? All right. So that's what will happen after we do a quick market outlook. And at the end, right? What happens is this: we'll cover three US stocks that you can put in your watch list, right, for potentially more upside. So make sure you stay all the way to the end because that's what we'll do. All right, me and my team, 3 of us over here, will share 3 top US stocks. Of course, we do have a couple of bullish signals on them. It looks pretty bullish. It still looks good. Targets can be revised even higher. You might want to put them in your watch list as well. And that's at the end, after going through your stocks, then we share our stocks. Cool? All right. So let's get started. And here it is, right? So I'll introduce to you my team member. So anyway, my name is Joey Choy, all right? In case we've never met before, just a quick introduction. Joey, right over here, top tier Myzel, trader in Philips Securities. I've been doing this for more than 15 years now. My forte is pretty much in stocks. We do Singapore stocks, US stocks, a little bit of Hong Kong stocks, but essentially stocks, all right? Not FX, not crypto, not really stocks. I'm the go-to guy for stocks, basically, all right? And we use what we call the one good trend strategy, right? Essentially, it's a trend trading strategy. We get in on stocks, whereby we ride the trend of stocks. We want to be in the same direction as the trend of the stock, and we maximize our profits along with the trend. And that's why the name is called one good trend, right? Not 2, not 5, not 10, just one enough, really. One very good one to really maximize your profits, to see your portfolio grow. And we have this tool that I use that is called the one good trend indicator, whereby in a matter of seconds, and this is what we'll do later to show you guys, we can turn it on and we can see how your stock actually looks like. Are there any bullish signals or bearish signals, right? If you see like a bearish red color one and a couple of one bearish signal coming out, then you want to be careful, maybe you don't want to buy first, right? But we have this tool based on the one good trend strategy that allows us to know when to get in, when to get out in a matter of 5 seconds, all right? And that's what we'll do later as well, right? So that's me over here. And I have my team joining me today as well. Let me just go and introduce my team very quickly. I have with me Z right over here, one of the top brokers under me in Philips Securities, joining me for more than 5 to 6 years now, right? And Z is also assisting our thousands of clients in Philips Securities, conducting our group coaching sessions with our mentees, our one-on-one calls with our mentees as well. And Z is an expert in anything to do with charting, all right? Essentially, she's a chartered market technician, CMT. What does this mean? Well, it means that she's an expert in chart. Sometimes I do consult with her as well in terms of candlestick, in terms of price action, in terms of patterns, right? She's pretty much an expert in anything to do with technical analysis. So let me just pass on the mic to Z to just share a little bit on herself and how she can add value to all of you here today. Z.
All right, thanks, Joey. Hi, everyone. My name is Z. For those who have not met, so basically, like what Joey has mentioned, right? Just to sum it up, I like to look at charts, right? Charts, and like to understand the price action, look at the trend, right? But the thing about looking at chart is a lot of times I hear from clients or even mentees saying that like, hey, they don't really know what to actually focus on, right? So I think for today's session, right, we'll really focus on Joey's 1GT Pro indicator, whereby it is simplified, right? In a matter of seconds, you'll be able to just get a signal, right? A buy or sell signal, and that can help you in terms of making some decisions as well. A very quick one, right? And you don't have to overcomplicate everything on your chart, right? So that is something that we will focus on today, and we will try to cover as many as possible, right? The US stocks that you guys requested. Okay, so without further ado, I'll pass the time back over to Joey so that he can introduce Jia as well.
All right, thank you so much, Z, for a quick, short introduction. Let me just go to introduce Jia as well. Same thing, one of the top brokers under me in Philips Securities, assisting our thousands of broking clients. More than 3 years with me already. All right, and Jia, I would say, is a kind of, have a very special expertise on candlestick. All right, I think he knows how to read in terms of the price actions very clearly. Sometimes I do consult with him as well on that. All right, and Jia also, runs our group coaching sessions, even our one-on-one calls, our mentees, even assisting our team's portfolio manager with an 8-figure portfolio management business as well. All right, so let me pass on the mic to Jia just to share a little bit about himself. Jia, go ahead.
All right, thank you, Joey. So for those who don't know me, I'm Jia, and I've been assisting Joey, like what he mentioned, with the operation, client servicing, and also trade execution since 2023, so close to 3 years, and also supporting both the team and our clients along the way. So I think for today's session, we actually focus on the US market, and I think we continue to see a mixture of volatility and opportunity recently. And I think investors are also closely looking at the inflation, the interest rate expectations, and all this actually continues to influence how the market sentiment and price actions are. So I think for today's session, let's take this opportunity to go through the charts together, understand how the market is actually moving, and also identify potential setups and opportunity ahead. Yeah, I think with that, I'll pass on my time back to Joey.
All right, thank you so much, Jai. So there we go, right? Me right over here today with Z and Jai. Let's get started. Just a quick disclaimer as usual, whatever that's being shared today, just for education purposes only, all right? So please do your own due diligence, do a bit of homework, a bit of research, right? I'm just sharing with you, or we are just sharing with you our process, my one good trend framework, my, concept, my tools that we're using, and you decide on your own decisions, on your own actions. Cool. All right. So let's get started. Let me go into cover very quickly, as promised, about the market, right? Just a quick market outlook. Let me know type of MM for market, guys, if you want me to get started on a quick market outlook. M for market. Let me know how many want me to cover the market very quickly before I do it. M for market, let me know. Wow, I think we have quite a lot of you typing about, the stocks that you want a quick opinion. Keep them coming, guys. We'll kind of like, pin them up somewhere. We'll try to cover as many as possible. All right, we'll try to, scroll through all the way from top to bottom. So we try not to miss any of them. Like as I say, give us a bit of context. That is where we will give you more priority. All right, so let's take a look. Fiona, good to see you over here. Emily, Darren, a lot of familiar names. Sifang as well. Adrian, hi. Scott Few, Brandon, Adrian, nice to see you guys. Okay, so market. Let's go ahead to talk about the S&P 500 index. Pretty much a very popular index that, tracks the top 500 companies in the US market. So you can see right over here, we are at 7,337 points as of last night, right? So let me just do a quick recap of what has happened, right? So I'll not go too far, but you can see that since beginning of 2026, January, February, right? What happens was we will actually cap below this very critical 7,000 psychological resistance level. So I've talked about this level over the past few AMAS sessions as well. You can watch the replay, but somewhere around in February, every time we touch, we come down. December, we touch, we come down. January, we come down. February, we come down. Every time we go to 7,000, we always come down. All right. Of course, in March, we come down more, right? Because of the US-Iran war, and it really go down even more. All right. But the point here is that we will actually cap below the 7,000 psychological resistance level, right? And over the past 1 month, right, we have seen a very strong recovery, right? And what we can do in a bit will be to turn on my indicator, the 1GT Pro indicator, whereby in a matter of seconds, for any stocks, even the market, it guides us to get in and out, right? And if you've been following me in the previous AMAS session, let me just turn it on for you and let's take a look at it again. I mentioned that we already had some bullish signals coming out. So what I mean by bullish signals, well, as I said, we have these two right over here, and the very first box, I can turn it on, 1, 2, 3, pump. It appears. Off it, gone, disappear, nothing, blur, right? On it again, clarity, you know what to do. Let's take a look at what it says right now. So very quickly, you can see, I'll not go too far, but let's take a look at maybe this last year. You can see we had some bearish signals coming out, right, in April, March last year due to the Trump introducing of reciprocal tariffs, right? And maybe get bearish signal, you don't want to rush, like, you can see all the way down. We want to wait for confirmations in terms of a reversal to get in. We want to wait for the market to show its cards, to play its hand out, and we act accordingly, right? So when we wait for what we call a 1GT, green, bullish signal. And there we go, right? Recovery, another bullish signal. There we go. Until December, January and February, whereby, as I mentioned, we headed to that 7,000 psychological resistance. All right. And over the past 2 months, of course, when the US-Iran war started, we got 2 1GT bearish signal. And I mentioned that you want to be careful. We could see some weakness in the short term. Look at the green 20 days moving average line that represents the short-term trend. It was like sideways. And then it started to point down. Right? So bearish signals plus the green line point down. We don't want to buy. Why? Because we could see more downside. All right? We want to be patient. Right? We want to wait for that signal to come out. Right? What signal? A green 1GT bullish signal actually appearing. And in the previous AMAS session, I mentioned that it has already appeared, right? Not yesterday, not last week, like quite long already. Since like on the 8th of April, the first 1GT bullish signal actually appeared. The green line also started to turn up. That means the short-term trend turned up, a 1GT bullish signal appeared. We are in the beginning of the reversal, as I say, since like 8th of April. Now it's like, now it's 8th of May. So it's like, 1 month ago already, right? 8 April. So 1 month ago, right? We actually got a 1GT bullish signal. In case you're still wondering when you will reverse. You already reversed already lah. Oh, already reversed already. Okay, can 1 month ago, 8 April, right? We got a 1GD bullish signal. Green line already turned up, right? The long-term trend, look at the red and blue line. That one has been up since last year, though. That one don't need to say, very easy to see, okay? We got a second 1GT bullish signal actually appearing as well. Same thing, we talked about it in the previous AMAS session, right? So not one, but two 1GT bullish signals coming out. All right. So the question is, why are we seeing strength in the market over the past month? Well, I think you guys know about the developments in the US and Iran war. All right. Of course, there was a first talk that was held. The second talk did not go through, but at least there was some negotiations going on between US and Iran, and Pakistan being what we call the mediator. And talks are still ongoing. So it's not as bad as it was, early of March, second week of March, whereby missiles, drones were flying around, Middle Eastern countries were being bombed in terms of their airports, in terms of their energy infrastructures, right? It's not as bad, right? So there's some positive talks going through right now. I think even like 1 week ago, Trump mentioned that they're very, very positive. There could be a potential end of the war soon. Of course, last night it changes a little bit. Last night there was some news about the Straits of Hormuz, some little skirmishes between the ships over there. Nothing too serious. So it's like things are getting better, right? Compared to March. So the Straits of Hormuz is still effectively closed, all right? Of course, US has done the blockade of, Iranian ports, same thing. Iranian authorities have still, kind of like closed the Straits of Hormuz, right? But at least there are some positive developments. So I think this is all being priced into the market. And that is one of the key reasons why we actually broke the 7,000 psychological resistance level. All right, right over here we got a second 1GD bullish signal on the 15th of April, about 2 weeks back. All right, so 8 April first one, 15 April second one. All right, and of course we go a bit higher already but the key is this 7,000 psychological resistance where we have been trading below since October, November, December, January, February, March, April, about 5-6 months finally has been broken, right? Before the war started, we were kept below it, but now we just break above it, and of course we're still above it, right? So that would be what we call a new horizontal support level. So anything above 7,000, I would say that the market has turned more bullish. That was what I mentioned like 2 weeks back. In the previous AMAS, go away to watch the replay, right? And I kind of like expected it to just hover above the 7,000, maybe rest a bit, from 7,000 to 7,002, before going to push higher, even though it's bullish, right? But it seems like the market is not really resting. It's like, attempting to push even higher over the past 1 week, right? We have kind of even broke above that 7,200. Now it's 7,337. So I would say that support, you can see that is strength because bullish signals are in play. The green 20 days moving average line, the green line that has been pointing up since April, obviously is still pointing up. So the short-term trend is up, still great. Support has also gone even higher. So no longer 7,000. That one a bit too low already. Now it's like 7,200 already, which is a new higher support. So essentially the market is bullish. In case you're still thinking when you reverse, it's weak and not. No. It's really bullish. 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I already mentioned, right? There are signs of reversal. We are attempting to push higher. We got two 1GT bullish signals. Something like what we have seen previously, right over here, all right, in April, whereby we got the first one, we got the second one, and there we go. Right now, also we got two. Last year also got two. This makes sense one? All right, Ken. So we have already seen the reversal, right? We mentioned to be patient, to wait. Last year, you waited, good. Now, not now, but 1 month ago, you waited, and then you must know what you're waiting for. So, right? If come out already, then you're still waiting, then I don't know you wait for what, right? So you must know what you're waiting for, right? To get into the reversal, all right? And what we have seen, as I say, strength in the market, all right? And what happens is that the sectors that are doing well, and that's what I think some of you are even asking about certain stocks, right? The sectors that have been doing really well over the past 3 weeks, 2 weeks to a month, would be the tech sector, the technology sector, the AI space, the semiconductor stocks doing really well. That was pretty much a drag, I would say, in January, December, very boring. I don't know what they're doing also, but over the past 2-3 weeks, strength has come back. Funds have poured into this sector, all right, away from some of the consumer plays, back into the technology sector. All right, so maybe we have time to cover some of the stocks that you guys are asking about in the tech sector. We'll see how they play out, right? But I would say right now, S&P 500 index, bullish, anything above 7,000, sorry, not even 7,000, anything above 7,200. I think that is pretty much a new high support right now, right? We are kind of like above 7,300, but it's only like 2 days. So probably to call 7,300 a support, we need a few more days of confirmation. But right now, I think 7,200 would be a pretty decent horizontal support that could land more weights, all right, in terms of a ground for the next phase of upside. All the way, I would say, to 7,500, 7,600. Well, that could be the next upside targets. And I would prefer to see a bit of a consolidation, I would say, as it approach those resistance level, rest a while, consolidate before attempting to push higher. That would be what we call a pretty healthy, sustainable uptrend. Right? So this is S&P 500 index. Now, very quickly, since we talk about the S&P, and since I mentioned that, the technology sector, essentially the AI space is doing quite well. And why not let's take a look at the Nasdaq Composite Index. Let's pull out the Nasdaq. I mean, that is pretty much the index that tracks the top technology companies in the US. And same thing, you can see that I've already turned on my one good trend pro indicator. Of course, I can turn it off. Pam, there we go. Nothing, right? Let's turn it on. Take a look. 2 seconds, it comes out, and it looks pretty similar, I would say, to the S&P. All right. In fact, we got a bullish signal last year in April. A second one comes out, all the way up, right? And we were also capped below a very key psychological resistance level, right? In the S&P 500, I mentioned about the 7,000, right? But for the Nasdaq, it's not 7,000 now. Nasdaq is 24,000, right? 24,000, right? But look at this, right? Same thing. October, November, December, January, February, we were capped below 24,000, right? I've been talking about it many times, and of course in the March it went down, got bearish signal, it went down because of the US-Iran war, right? But same thing over the past 2-3 weeks, we have broken above the 24,000 level. And same thing, we got not one, we got two 1GT bullish signals. The green 20 days moving average line that one was pointing down in February and March started to point up as another confirmation. Is it still pointing up? Yeah, it's still pointing up. Don't you bluff yourself. Up means up, down means down, right? So it is still pointing up. The short-term trend is pretty much still up. And we have attempted to push even higher. So we are seeing strength in the Nasdaq, as I say. Why? Because of strength in the technology stocks, like broken above 20,000. And actually same thing, I expected to see maybe some consolidation below 25,000 psychological resistance for a while, but no, right? It just rested for like 1-2 weeks and pam, there we go. 25,000 broken. News came out, a new record high, and we are above 25,000. So not even 24. I think right now, 25,000 would be a new psychological support level. All right, 25 to 26, we might just see some consolidation for a while, but anything above 25, it is poised for even more upside. The bullishness can still continue, right? It's no longer a reversal. It has already reversed since last month, as I say, and now it's a reverse finish. Now it's attempting to go even higher, right? Not reverse already finished, right? It's already reversed already. Or as I say, since last month, 8th of April, all right, first signal. 15th April, a second signal, right? So reversal already, we really breached the resistance we've seen since October. Now it's a new phase. It's the uptrend continuing to another phase. Targets being revised even higher. All right, so that is the market. I hope you guys get a better understanding of the market right now. All right, and my take pretty much on the S&P, even on the Nasdaq. All right, how many of you found it pretty useful type of you for useful, guys? You for useful, we found it pretty useful. All right, in terms of a quick market outlook. Right, just to recap of what has happened over the past 2 weeks to a month. You for useful, let me know before we move on to the next segment. All right, thank you so much. All right, there we go. Fiona, useful. Darren, useful. Thanks for joining us. I think we have like more than 180 of you joining us on YouTube and on Facebook as well. Welcome, welcome. A lot of familiar names. Thanks for joining us every single Friday. I hope you get value. I mean, that's the whole purpose of this entire AMAS session. We go for like about 2 hours. It's not really for us. I mean, just to share what we know. I mean, since we're doing it every day, right? So we just share, right? So hope you guys get value. That's the whole point of it. Okay, Ken? Okay, now let's move on to the next segment, which I think will be the segment that all of you are excited about, right? Which will be the US stocks that you guys want a quick opinion on, right? As the name of this show goes, ask me any US stock. All right, so let me pick the very first stock for today. All right, let me pick the very first stock. I haven't seen it yet, guys. Let me just go through very quickly, like maybe 10 seconds. I'll pick the first one and I'll pass on the mic to Jia Yi, and then Z will cover the next one as well. So very quickly, what will be the first US stock for today? Let me go to choose. And let's see, I would say Simon. I think Simon, just now I choose your one, right? Because you spend the effort to type, all right? So as I say, guys, we will definitely give you more priority, all right? I mean, if a lot of people are asking about the stock, and also if you spend a bit of time and effort to kind of like, give us a bit of context as to what you're asking about the stock, all right? Like in terms of, are you looking to buy, to get in, to get out? What price do you buy last week, last month, last year? All right? That's where we will give you a bit more priority. So take a look at this stock. Simon, looking to accumulate Morgan Stanley, MS. Thank you so much. The code is MS. Let's take a look. MS, Morgan Stanley. There we go. Let's go. All right, and there we go, right? So, okay, maybe let me go to turn off the bullish and bearish signals before we turn it on in a bit, right? But Morgan Stanley, right over here, you bought at 183. Thank you so much for giving us a bit of context. 183 now is 190. Okay, not bad, a bit about $7 profit. Okay, please have a look. What could be a good entry point? So you bought 183. Now you're looking to maybe buy some more. Is it another good entry point? Is it? Given recent consolidation, 1 GT on Wednesday, 192. Volume looks 1:1. Very good. Now let's take a look at Morgan Stanley right now. So before I even turn on the bullish and bearish signals, okay, let me just go to hide the comment. So that it will not be blocking. Okay, so you can see that for Morgan Stanley, we have been in a pretty good long-term uptrend, I would say, since last year, right? Just by looking at what we call the red 100 days moving average line and the blue 200 days moving average line. You can see, right? The red line is pointing up, the blue is pointing up. And, we always want to think about getting in the same direction as a stock's trend, all right, in terms of it being in an uptrend in the longer term, right? So the stock must be in a longer term uptrend, right? That is where we want to even think about buying stock, right? Don't talk about when to buy first, right? But in order for this stock to be in our watch list to buy, it must at least be in a longer term uptrend, whereby we are forming higher lows, higher highs, the moving averages are all pointing up, right? Very strong, very stable, very consistent, very steady. That's what we want. We wouldn't buy a stock that's going down every other week, every other month, and like going cheaper. That one you can go ahead. That one I also don't want. All right. We want to buy into strength. We want to buy into strong stocks. And Morgan Stanley is definitely one of the strong stocks because the longer term trend is up. But here's the thing, right? Doesn't mean the longer term trend is up, means that the short term trend is up. Why? Because we also want to focus on what we call the short term trend. All right, so how do we tell the short-term trend? Well, very quickly, you can see that we look at what we call the green line. So if the green line is pointing down like over here, so when the short-term trend turns down, it can be 1 week, can be 2 weeks, can be 1 month, can be 2 months, 3 months, right? We don't want to buy when the short-term trend is down. I mean, even though the long-term trend is up, no issue, but the short-term trend is down. We don't want to buy, okay? Same thing over here. See the green line also turned down, right? Same thing for 2-3 months, it turned down. Here also 2-3 months turned down. We don't want to buy. We want to get in only when both of them are up, all right? And when both of them are up, that's where I would say that the longer-term trend is aligned with the short-term trend. It's a higher winning probability trade, all right? So I would say right now, in terms of the trend for Morgan Stanley, if you ask me in February and March, I would say wait first, don't buy, I mean it's going down, right? Okay, but if you ask me right now, I would say that both the longer term trend is up and the short term trend is up. Look at the green line, it is pointing up right now. Okay, Ken? Now, let's go ahead to get the other confirmations from my 1GT Pro indicator. As I say, let's turn it on and let's take a look at, aside from the longer term trend and the short term trend, are there any bullish or bearish signals? All right, as another confirmation. Let's take a look. 1, 2, 3, pop. There we go. And let's take a look, right? So you can see last year, February, March, I mentioned the short-term trend was down. But now, you mentioned the short-term trend is down, and we got 3 bearish signals. Bearish, red color one, not good. You dare to buy? Don't buy. I mean, short-term trend down, bearish signal come out, you can buy for what? You get stuck. No? You wait for the bullish signals to come out. First one, second one, third one, fourth one, even faster. Right? And then when you see a red color bearish signal in like February, 1 plus 2, right? So green line turn down, so short-term trend down, we see cannot buy it, right? Plus now got bearish signal, still there to buy. Don't buy lah. If you have, then get out, take some profit. How many percent? Like from here to here, I would say 56%, not enough, man. All right, get out first, 56%, take first. All right, wait for the time to come back in again. All right, when to come back in? When you see a bullish signal, Same thing over here. We got a 1GT bullish signal coming out right over here. I would say about 2 weeks back, around 8th of April. In fact, about last month, about 1 month back already, right? When it was about 170. Of course, now it has gone up a little bit already, right? But we got not 1, but 2 bullish signals being triggered. The short-term trend has turned up. So I would say right now, we are kind of like, maybe like in terms of the reversal, right? Maybe we are like somewhere over here, right? Up a bit. So it was like down and then up. Then we're here, right? So now it's like down, then up. Something like that, right? It's a bit of a reversal. We are kind of like retesting the previous high right now. So let me just go to draw this, I would say, very key resistance level over the past like 2 weeks. Well, over the past 2 weeks, you can see that 190, maybe even to 195. Yeah, look at this, right? The past 2-3 weeks, seems like every time we near the 195, 194, 193, 192, and then some bargain hunting come back and we start to retrace back down again, right? So nothing wrong. I mean, it's just kind of like consolidating right over there. All right, we could potentially see a higher support coming out. So look at this. I mean, that is pretty much the range over the past 1 month or 3 weeks, right? Up, down, up, there, 185 to 195. $10 range, right? I don't know what it's doing, but it's resting. I mean, you're seeing a bit of a reversal. It's resting from 185 to 195. But overall, it looks pretty bullish, right? So let me just go to pull out the comment again to ask, right, regarding Morgan Stanley, right? Simon, you bought at 183, pretty okay, all right? I think anything above 185, 190, it looks good still. Okay, what could be a good entry point? Well, I would say that 185 have came out as a higher support level, right, over the past 3 weeks. So on dips, anything above 185, right over here, I mean, that's where you can see a couple of rebounds. It could be a pretty good entry, all right, pretty good entry. But the key level that I'm looking at, right, in terms of the next phase of upside, right, in terms of it attempting to push higher, would be this 195 level right over here, as I said, right? In fact, like 2 days back, we neared it and then sellers came back and we pushed down. Last night as well, went all the way up to 194 and then sellers came out as well. So 195, I don't know what it's doing, but 195 seems like a bit of a resistance level. That's where selling pressure is coming back. So we might just consolidate it for a while. I mean, it's just resting sideways, but if you look at it, right, in terms of the short-term trend, the green line, it is still pointing up, right? So short-term trend is still up, plus a bit of consolidation, right? So if the 195 were to give way, that is where my take is that we could see targets being revised even higher. So let me just do a bit of a projection, I would say, right, from this level. All right, it used to be consolidating a little bit of this level here. All right, a little bit of a consolidation here, right? Maybe, yeah. So a bit of a consolidation, right, from 180 to 195. If 195 to give way, targets could be revised, maybe all the way to like 210. I think 210 could be kind of like the next upside targets, all right, after 195 level, right? So back to your question, Simon, I think not too bad. I mean, we got two bullish signals coming out. Longer the trend is up. The short-term trend has reversed back up. We're kind of like resting. If 195 were to give way, I think it is poised to hit even higher. You continue riding the stock with a plan to protect your profits. Okay, so that is Morgan Stanley. The code is MS. I hope that it helps. Simon, let me go ahead to pass on the mic to Jia Yi to cover the next US stock for you guys, right? Jia Yi, yours.
All right, thank you, Joey, for covering Morgan Stanley. The next stock that I'll be covering on actually was just next one. Just give me a sec. Okay, you'll be on QCOM. So I think James was asking about this counter. No, do not hold any stock for this counter. I was thinking of getting in. So what's a good price to enter since it surged during the last few days? So I think like what Joey had mentioned previously just now, we always look at the trend. We always want to ride the trend, looking at the stock, making sure that it's actually showing good trend and strong. So I mean, if you look at this QCOM previously, I mean, it's kind of trading a bit of weakness, and I think in August they showed some strength. But starting of this year, you can see that actually the 20 days moving average started to point down when it hit this 180 resistance. So I would say this 180 actually have a strong resistance. Why? Prices actually went up above this 180 for 27 October, managed to close to slightly above 180, but the next few days it came back down. Then afterwards in December and also in January, it tested this level quite a few times, but wasn't able to stay above. So I would say 180 actually was quite a strong resistance previously. Then afterwards, you see that sellers came in to push the price down, and afterwards, it start to show more weakness. 20 days moving average start to point down, 100 days also start to point down, and afterwards, the 200 days moving average start to flatten. I mean, if you look at the chart now, it seems like recently after the earnings, there was some strength. The 20 days moving average actually already starting to point up. 200 days and 100 days also seems to have some strength coming in. So I would say if you look at the chart right now, it seems like previously they were showing some weakness, but there could be some signs of reversal for this counter. I mean, if you look at where the support could be potentially at, previously I would say 150 might be a support level where prices went up close to the 180, came down to test the 150 level, went back up, came back close to 150, then afterwards in Feb, it wasn't able to stay above this 150, went below it, become a resistance, and afterwards, just recently, it managed to went up again. So I would say a key support level might be also near this 120, which was previously tested back in April 2025, and in April 2026 again, it was tested at this level. So if you look at the trend now, I mean, James, are looking at whether to hold for this whether to enter and what price to enter. I would say currently, if you look at the trend, it seems like there's some reversal. It broke above this 180 resistance level, which was quite a key resistance level. So this level, it broke above, and this could be a new support level that you can potentially look at to enter for this counter. I mean, if you turn on the 1GT buy signal, with the indicator, it's quickly, with just a quick glance, you're able to see how the trend is like, and with whether there's a bearish or bullish signal. So if we look at this counter previously, when it hit the 180, afterwards there's a 1GT bearish signal, not 1, 2, but 3. So it seems that there was weakness in this counter. But just recently in April, prices start to show more strength. There's a 1GT bullish signal. This could be a sign of a reversal. And afterwards, there was another 1GT bullish signal that appeared just a few days back, 5th May. So you can see that on this day, actually, it was quite a bullish candlestick as well. Prices actually went up all the way above 180, which was was a key resistance previously. And afterwards, the next few days, prices did manage to stay above this 180 resistance level, which turned into a new support level. So I mean, to answer your question, James, you are looking to enter for this counter. Where could be a good price to enter? I'll say maybe 180 might be a key support level, which you can consider to enter near this level. If you enter near this level, just to answer where could be the next resistance. I mean, if you do a simple projection, it seems like this counter usually trade around the $30 range from the 120 to 150. Then the next level is from the 150 to the 180. And I would say the next resistance might be close to that, 210. So I mean, if you look at this counter, if you were thinking of entering now, I think it's a bit of a higher risk. You're actually near a resistance where prices, where sellers might come back in to push back down the price. So I mean, if you're looking at entering for this counter, if prices come back down to the 180, that could be a potential level that you can look to enter for this counter. But do make sure that if prices break below it, do make sure to have a stop loss plan, as this counter have moved up quite a lot recently. So we don't want to be stuck in this counter if it start to show a bit of weakness afterwards. Yep. So hope that answer your questions, James, on QCOM. If not, I'll pass on my time to Z to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Jiayi. Okay, let me just change my chart over here, and there we go. Okay, so the next stock, right, that I'll be covering will be by ST, right? ST25197. I bought McDonald at 293 last week. Since then, it has dropped. Thinking of adding more. Is that advisable? Thank you. Okay, so let's take a look at McDonald right now, right? So McDonald, you mentioned that you bought around 293, right? 293, I would say last week somewhere around here, right? Somewhere around here. And yesterday, as of closing, McDonald was even lower, right? About 283. So I think perhaps you are sitting on some losses now and you're thinking of adding more, perhaps to dollar cost average now, make your average cost lower, right? So maybe, let me see, how many of you guys are here today right now? 185. Okay, 185 of you guys are here, right? Maybe you can help me and also help ST out, right? What do you guys think of the short-term trend at this point in time? What do you guys think of the short-term trend? Is it up? Is it down? Let me know. Or sideways? U for up, D for down, S for sideways, right? What do you guys think about short-term, not long-term, short-term trend? Short-term trend for McDonald's. Is it up, down, or sideways? Let me see. Brandon, D, Sebastian, D, Darren, D, ABC, D, up. Oh, Danny says up. For short-term, short-term is the green one. Okay, short-term is the green one, D. Let's see, James, D, Francis, D, Simon, D, June sideways. Okay, Fiona, D. Okay, so let's take a look at it together. All right, let's take a look at it together. So for short-term, right? Short-term trend. When we talk about short-term trend, now what are we looking at specifically? We are looking at the 20 days moving average, which is this green line here, right? How do we determine whether is it up or down or sideways? Basically, you just see the direction of where the line is pointing, right? And very obvious at this point in time, this green line, it is going down, right? So short-term trend is going down, right? You cannot bluff ourselves saying that it's going up. It's definitely still pointing downwards, right? So we do know that a short-term trend is actually going down, right? Then we think about long-term trend. Long-term trend, what do we look at? We look at the red and the blue line, which is 100 days and 200 days moving average. Definitely the blue line, you can see that it's flattening out. Red line, it was actually flattening out, went up a bit in February, March, and then start to flatten, and now it starts to show some signs of weakness, right? It starts to slope down a little bit, right? So in terms of trend-wise, right, when we think about buying, right, ST, when we think about buying based on the 1GT framework, we always go back to the basic. We want to buy only when the stock is actually going up, right? When the uptrend is intact, right? But at this point in time, we do know for a fact that short-term trend is down. Longer-term trend, not exactly great, right? It's kind of like going sideways, some long-term weakness with red lines sloping downwards. So not exactly an ideal point where we want to think about buying, because it doesn't really align with the framework. We want to be on the right side of the trend, right? The trend is our friend. You want to buy when the stock is actually in an uptrend, right? So at this point in time, not exactly, right? And in fact, this 1GT bearish signal, right? There's two signals that actually came up, right? So I really turned on the signals. So with this, we can actually turn on and turn off, right? So I turn on the signals, and what do we see? We actually see two 1GT bearish signal. So what does the bearish signal actually means, right? Bearish signal, it doesn't mean that the stock will crash, right? It means that there is more selling pressure returning to the counter. And we don't just have one, but we have two consecutive 1GT bearish signal, right? And it tells you that there is more sellers returning. And it can also be seen in the price action itself, right? You can see that the price actually went to a high of about 340 and then came down, and now it's at 283, right? So price actually pulled back from the high of 340, right? So there is definitely more weakness. Even the candlestick is actually telling us that same story, right? So would you think about buying more at this point in time? Maybe for those 184 of you who are here, right? If you are in ST situation, would you want to actually buy more? Would you want to buy more right now? Maybe let me know. What do you guys think? Do you want to buy more at this point in time when the trend is actually telling us that there's some weakness, prices is actually going down? What do you guys think? Right? Do you guys want to actually buy more at this point in time? Usually we would not advise that because we will advise against that, because what we want to see is for confirmation, right? Confirmation that the trend is actually reversing back up, then we think about buying, right? What's the point of you buying a stock, right? And every other day is actually going down, and then your unrealized losses get bigger and bigger, and then until a point you'll be asking yourself, hey, what should I do with this? Because you are stuck, right? We don't want to get to that situation, okay? So for McDonald's at this point in time, you can see that right over here, right? I would say that 280 would be one of the very strong support that perhaps ST, right? Because since you're already in a position, you might want to take note of, especially because this 280, you can see right over here. Even we don't have to go too far back. 2025, I think it's more than sufficient. 1 year of data, right? You can see that price, it actually broke down below this level. Very quickly, it came back up, right? Tested this again once it broke back above as a support. And ever since then, we're holding as a support, right? And somewhere in June, this period, right? Yeah, June 2025, selling pressure came in, pushed prices back down. Buyers came in to scoop it up again, and prices rebounded, right? And right now, what does it look like? It looks like the price is actually heading back to 280 support level, right? So can this 280 support level hold? I don't know, right? If you don't ask me, will it break today, next week? Can it hold above? I don't know, but definitely I do know that this is one of the very strong key support that I would want to be watching to see whether this key support can really indeed hold. Because if it doesn't hold, then what happens, right? Then perhaps for ST, because since you're already in a position, right, you bought at 293, you might want to think of a plan, right? Think of a plan to perhaps reduce some exposure, because I'm not too sure whether do you do your position sizing, do you do your risk management, right? If prices were to break below a support, typically that's not a good sign, right? Because that would just means that the bears are in control, bears are winning, and support broken to become a resistance once again, right? So if price were to break below 280, then perhaps that's where ST you might want to think of having like a stop loss plan in place to reduce your risk as well, okay? But I mean, of course, if this level holds, right? If this level holds, then what are some of the key things that we want to watch for, right? Definitely, first thing, you want to watch for the 20 days moving average to stop pointing down and to at least give you some signs of it going sideways, right? If it goes sideways, it means that what? It means that, the short-term weakness has kind of stabilized, right? And if price action starts to move in this manner and test the 280, continue to hold above it, then if you want to think about, accumulating some position, I think at least that would be better than at this point in time when the short-term weakness is there, right? And what could potentially the price action be looking like, right? Especially if all three moving average are heading sideways, we could go back to a consolidation range, as you can see from February all the way to February of 2025 to 2026, right? You can see that prices was kind of like just in a very long consolidation range period of about $40 from 280 to about this 320, right? This range right over here, right? So if prices is able to hold above this and all three moving averages are heading sideways, then potentially we could be seeing a consolidation happening once again, whereby 320 would be the resistance level, right? Because why? You can see that selling pressure consistently return, came back and reject at this level, okay? So and also for those of you who have been joining us for weeks after weeks, right? I think this was actually one of the stocks that I think back in March we actually mentioned it as a bonus stock, right? But at this point in time, back in March, right, it definitely did look great, right? When prices break above the 320 resistance, reach an all-time high, 20 days moving average started to point sideways. But the thing is that we don't want to fight or go against the trend. If the price action is telling us something, right? And you can see that price actually broke down. One GD bearish signal came out. Then that is where we want to get out, right? And that is where the trading plan and the risk management plan is so important, right? Even though there are stocks whereby we could be saying at the point in time that, hey, the bonus stock is actually looking great. But the thing is that when it looks great, right, we don't want to force a trade. If it goes, if the stock, right, and the price action is telling you a different thing, we want to listen to that. We don't want to force it, right? So at that point in time, when this bonus stock was actually talked about in March, right, subsequently 1GT bearish signal came out. Unfortunately, price broke down, and that's where if you have gotten in, we have gotten up, right, rather than holding the stock all the way back down to 280 level, whereby you'll be sitting on to a huge losses lah. Okay, so for ST engineering, not ST engineering, sorry, your name sounds like ST engineering, but ST25197. Yeah, so like what I mentioned for McDonald, take note of this level, right? 280 and 320, and typically when we talk about buying more, we only want to buy when there is strength, not when there is weakness, and not when just because the price is actually cheaper. Okay, so ST, I hope that helps to give you something to think about and some levels to set. I'll pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next US stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. All right, so well done. I mean, I would say well analyzed on McDonald. We got two bearish signals. So whenever we get a bearish rate signal, guys, we don't want to rush to get in, right? So like ST, okay, you got in, but I think if you would have seen the bearish signal, then you by right would not want to get in, right? I mean, the short-term trend now, bearish signal, then you go and buy, then you like a bit going against the trend now. We don't want to do that. Okay, Ken? Yeah. So let me go to cover the next stock, and that will be, I'll say, a very popular stock. I think some of you are asking about it. Let's see, right? YL4800. Hi, bought a small position on AMD, Advanced Micro Devices. Before the result at 350. Okay, not too bad. So you got in at 350. Now it's 408. Not too bad. Make money already. So 350 now 408. Okay. Should I take profit or add more position when it pull back? Right. So you're not too sure because you make any money, right? So you just take, what if take, then you'll go up some more, wasted, right? Or maybe you should buy even more to ride even more upside, right? Very good. Let's find out in a bit. Suzanne as well. Suzanne, AMD, when to take profit? So I believe you also got, you bought maybe previously lah, right? Maybe you don't know what price, but when to take profit, or maybe don't take, maybe can go up some more, right? Let's find out. Okay, so this is AMD, Advanced Micro Devices, right over here, $408. So in a matter of seconds, as I say, we can turn on the 1GT Pro indicator and let's take a look at it. 1, 2, 3, boom. There we go, right? So for Advanced Micro Devices, well, quite clearly, we had a couple of really good bullish signals coming out, right? In, I would say, early of April. Right over here, 8th of April, a second one came out on the 16th of April. I mean, of course, if you have, I'm not too sure exactly, Susan, when you have got in, but I think for YL, you got in at like 350 lah, 350 a bit higher, maybe somewhere over here already, right? But of course, you have got in like 240, 230, when the bullish signals was here, then even better. In fact, if I'm not wrong, about 3 weeks back in our AMAS session, 3 weeks back, I think on 17th of April, let me check. I think 17th April, 1, 2, 3. Help me check, Z. I think on 17th April, right? Was this the bonus stock that I covered? If I just to confirm.
17th, yeah. Yes,
right?
yes.
17th April, right? So when was it? So yeah, you can watch the replay, guys. But I think 17th April, 3 weeks back, Friday was a US, same like today, US session. Maybe over here, 17th April. Where? Then Friday. I think over here, right? This was the bonus stock that I covered. Why? Because we got two bullish signal plus, the short-term trend was turning up. So not too bad. I mean, if you've got in there, it actually also a bit cheaper already, right? But 350 a bit high, but doesn't matter. Doesn't mean cannot go up some more, right? But let's take a look, right? So if you've got in, for those of you who have followed, you got in previously, great. It has gone up by another 54%. All right, pretty good. 54% in like about 2-3 weeks. All right, pretty good, right? Okay, now let's take a look and see what to do right now. So we got two 1GT bullish signals coming out. It has moved up, right, from about 230, 220, all the way to 408. And true, it might seem more expensive. All right, first 350 is expensive. 220, 230 is the best. When you actually got in over here, I think that would be easily 88%, 87, 88% now. All right, just from the 1GT bullish signals you have followed, you entered, you ride. 88% in 3 weeks. Right? That's the best. Okay. But those of you who have not entered, would it be too late? Right? Could it even go higher? Would there be a new support level coming out? Well, let's find out. So I would say right now is that over the past 2 weeks, well, it was actually consolidating below these 360 psychological resistance level. Look at this, right? We touched, we came down, all right, even up to last Friday, we sold off. This Monday, we sold off. We were below the 360 resistance level. So it looks good, all right? Short-term trend was up, long-term trend was up, bullish signals were in play, but just that we were kept below that 360, right? However, over the past 2 days, right, on Wednesday, right, we saw a very strong gap up. I think there's some probably positive earnings announcement. It came in above expectations. It gapped up, right? And we broke that 360 resistance level, right? So I would say right now that this would be a new higher support, right? It will be a new higher support. If I could put maybe to, yeah, right here, 360, that would be a new higher support. Anything above 360 is still bullish, right? A good entry would be near what we call this support level. However, right, because it has gapped up, right, it seems like, I know, okay, so only 2 days, like in these 2 days they get out, we need a bit more days to confirm a higher support level, but it seems like over the past 2 days, not 360, it didn't even go back down to 360, but 400 have came out as another higher support. So not even 360, right? 400 has really came out as a psychological support level, right? So back to your question, right? Suzanne, when to take profit, right? So I'm not too sure when you've got in. Same thing over here. YL, when you take profit, or maybe you could add on more positions. Well, I would say that anything above 400, to be honest, is still looks bullish. You can continue to ride it. You can continue to ride it just with it above the 400 support. Maybe a good entry could be near that 400 as well. Anything 401, 402, 403, right? If you continue to consolidate above this 400, I think that's where some bargain hunting have came back. You can see long lower shadow yesterday as well as we approach the 400. So the range I would say is like 400 to 430, right? $30. It probably will be doing this for a while. That'll be good, right? I mean, for like a week or so, rest for a while, up, down, consolidate from 400 to 430, all right? That is where a good entry could be near that 400, right? If it breaks 430, well, that would be another leg up all the way to 480, 450, maybe all the way to 500 as well, right? That's where targets could be raised. So back to your question, how do we know, like, when to actually take profit and get out? Well, very simple, right? As I say, let me just go to remove all these things, right? What we could do is to turn on a very powerful feature on my One Good Trend Pro indicator, and that will be the trailing support and resistance, all right? Let me turn it on, 1, 2, 3, pop. So let's turn off the moving averages so it's a bit clearer, and there we go. So you can see that now, when we actually got these bullish green signals coming out in April, a green line actually popped out below the price, right, of AMD, right? It popped up right over here. It was about 195. And as AMD started to push up, you can see that this trailing support line followed it as it moved up. But don't follow too closely. It gave it the space to breathe. It accounted for the volatility of AMD. If it's very volatile, it give it more space. If it's like up and down very little bit, not very volatile, then don't need so much space. But it accounted for the volatility. You go up some more, I follow you. Right, you never go up, then nothing to follow. But if you move up, like what we have done, you see, it's starting to follow. All right, and there's some space between the price and the trailing support. So as long as we are above it, not below, above it, right, which is the case right now, we're still above it, right? Chill, relax, all right? He has been following it since April from 195, now follow until 340. Still following, right? So what we could do is to take steps to protect our profits while riding this stock. So for example, let's say you've got in near the bullish signals right over here at 230, 240. You're sure making money already, right? You want to take steps to protect profits. So what we say is this, right? Nothing wrong to take some profits, if it approaches like a resistance level. Like for example, let's say now 430 is a resistance, right? We near 430, after 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, every time we go to near 430 and then sellers come back, and we push back down, right? So you could take some profit near 430. And I said some. I never say all, right? Because it still looks good, right? I mean, just that it's just facing a bit of a resistance near that price level, right? So take some profit if you want, maybe wait for a pullback, you get in again, right? But what we could do is that apart from taking profits near some of those key resistance level, we could also have a plan to protect the profits for the positions that we're still holding, right? How do we do that? Well, we can have a stop loss below what I call the trailing support level, right? So based on this very powerful, feature that we have, we could put a stop loss, right? Kind of like to protect the downside. So if AMD, Advanced Micro Devices, right, were to stay above this trailing support, great. We continue riding it, right? If it moves up even higher, let's say it breaks the 430, it go to 500, 550, all right? This trailing support, I can tell you, will follow. I don't know follow until when, but it will follow it as it moves up. I mean, just like what it's been doing over the past 1 over month, right? It will follow it. The trailing support will give it the space to breathe, right? So how do we protect profits? Then we continue to raise our stop loss and follow it also, right? And I don't put above, I put below it just to give it additional space to protect the downside, right? So in that case, you're not only taking profits near the resistance level, you are also protecting profits on the balanced positions that you have not taken profits yet. All right? Does it make sense? Right? And that's how you really maximize your profits in an uptrend, right? Without cutting your profits short. Right? And that's what most people do, right? They go a bit, they make a few $100, they get out. And then after you get out, then you start go up even more. Then it's like, wasted, should not have sold, you see, right? Yeah, but so we don't want to cut our profit short. We want to ride and maximize our profits along with the trend, all right? And same thing, that's what we do, all right? And of course, if we do see like a bearish signal, a red color bearish signal, like this thing, right? Bearish signal, right? Like McDonald's, and now we saw the bearish signal, right? And then it starts coming down, right? And then you want to get out, but then you don't have, right? So, okay, all right? So continue riding, right? Till we see a bearish signal, maybe the short-term trend, the green line starts to turn down, okay? And then you would want to have a plan to reduce some exposure, to get out, to stop loss, like what I've mentioned over here. All right? So that is for advanced micro devices, right? Take steps to protect profits, take some profit near a resistance level. I hope that helps Suzanne and YL. All right, now let me go to pass on the mic to Jai. But okay, before I pass on the mic to Jai, right? I know today we are talking about the US market, and this was one of the stocks that we actually, as I say, I think in the 3 weeks back in our Friday AMAS US session, I actually talked about this bonus stock, right? Whereby we share a bonus stock at the end. But before I pass on the mic to Jai, right, I want to share with you guys that if you are not yet a client of mine in Phillip Securities, right, you don't have to wait until every Friday to get that one bonus stock or 3 bonus stock. Every single day, as a client of mine in Phillip Securities, right, we actually share some of the top Singapore trade ideas for free by WhatsApp daily at no additional cost. Let me know how many of you are clients of mine in Phillip Securities. I mean, that means you have a trading account under me in Phillip Securities. Type a C for client, guys. If you're a client of mine in Phillip Securities, I just want to acknowledge and thank you for your support, all right, for having an account under me. Let me know. C for client, if you have a trading account under me in Phillip Securities, that means you are receiving our daily updates and ideas, by WhatsApp. C for client, let me know. Just want to confirm. C, so we have a lot of clients over here. All right, thank you so much, Sebastian, Scott, Jenny, Welly, thank you so much, Chan, Francis, Catherine. So we have quite a lot of clients over you, but some of you may not be a client, right? You might just be scrolling YouTube or Facebook, don't know who I am, don't know why am I talking also, right? But in case you're not yet a client of mine in Phillip Securities, I mean, you have a trading account in Singapore, you need to buy stock, you need a trading account, right? But you don't get any service from your own broker. Nobody send you any idea, no video, no WhatsApp. In fact, today I think I sent one idea on the Singapore market. Those of you who are clients, check your WhatsApp. Check WhatsApp. Okay, what stock already, but yeah. This morning, I think I got my team to send out one stock on the Singapore market. Check your WhatsApp. Okay. Anyway, if you're not yet a client, click on the link in the chat. Find out how you can become one to get some of those top ideas for free on a daily basis. You do not pay anything more. Join many of our clients over here. Get some services for free. You do not pay anything more, and that's what I want to share with you. All right, Ken. So yeah, especially as I say, if you do not get any ideas, service from your own broker, it's just an online platform, online app. You log in, look at the price, anyhow choose one stock. Nobody talk to you, nobody call you, nobody WhatsApp you, nobody the hotline or something like that. And that's what many of our clients tell us. They say what service? No service lah. Like that, right? So I also don't know why, but click on the link in the chat, find out more. We look forward to work together with you, with our team, get some of those ideas participate in them much faster than when we share this bonus stock during our Friday AMAS session. Cool. All right. So that's what we can do. Okay. So let me pass the mic to Jia to cover the next US stock for today. Jia,
All right, thank you, Joey. So yeah, I think for those who are not a client under us, feel free to join. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything to join, and we hope to actually add value to you guys as well. Yep. So the next stock that I'll be covering on, just give me a sec. Will be on this counter, Lumentum Holding. I think Adrian, I'm not sure whether you're still here, but hopefully you're still here. I think you asked whether to able to go through LITE if I should add in more position. Average is 799. So it seems like you have a holding for this counter already, and you're looking to add on more position for this. So I mean, the first glance when I look at this counter, it's a good thing that when I look at this counter, it looks like all the moving averages are pointing up. So if you are holding to this counter and you are looking to add on to more of this counter, it's a good sign. I think a very common mistake that people have is when the stock is downtrending, they think of averaging down, but often people don't actually look at when the stock is going up and they think of averaging up. So for Adrian, if you are looking at adding on more position when this counter is actually showing strength, that's a good sign that it's a good mentality lah. Yep. So I mean, if you will look at it and you're asking on where to add in for more position, I mean, if you look at this counter overall, like what I mentioned, the moving averages are all pointing up, showing strength. Previously, we can see that 800 was a psychological resistance level. Prices actually came close to this level quite a few times. Back in March. Afterwards, in April, it also came close to this level. Then afterwards, in April, early April, it actually managed to break above this 800 psychological resistance level, which actually turned into a new support, and it was also tested quite a few times. You can see that afterwards, prices went up, came back down in April a few times along this level at 800, managed to stay above, and it hit a resistance of this 1000 psychological level. So I mean, if you look at the trend or we look at the chart for this counter, previously it was kept under 400, it went above to the 600. It seems to be trading around the range of about 200, and afterwards, once it break above that 800, it came close to that 1000 psychological level. You can also see that for the past few days, actually prices tried to break above this 1000 psychological level, but sellers came in to push the price back down. And afterwards, just yesterday, sellers actually took control and actually kind of pushed the price back down again. So we wouldn't rule out that the price might go back near the support of this 800 level. But overall, when you look at this counter, it seems like the strength is still there. The long term, the short term, and even the mid term is showing strength. And if you were to turn on this, using the 1GT Pro indicator, if you were to turn on the buy and sell signal, we can see that there's two 1GT bullish signal over here. Indicates that overall this counter still have buying. Buyers are still interested in this counter, still pushing up the price. So as long as prices are able to stay above this 800 psychological support level, it seems that this counter might still have more upside, and best if prices break above this 1000 psychological resistance level. And if prices are able to stay above, just doing a simple projection, we might see that the next upside might be towards that 1200 level. So for Adrian, I mean, if you're looking to add on more position, previously it looks like your average was about 799, which was actually near this support that we identified. So hopefully when it hit actually near that 1000 psychological level, or when it's near there, you have taken some profit. And when prices come back down to the 800 level, you could have add on again for this counter. But if you didn't add in, if you didn't take some profit near a resistance level, or I would say if you didn't take some profit near this level, if you are looking to enter again near this 800, it will depends on your risk appetite and also how much, whether you did your position sizing, because we also don't want to add in too much position for this counter and you over leverage for this counter. So I would say if prices come back down to the 800, depends on whether your position sizing, whether you want to add in more, but this could be a level that you can consider to add in near the 800. And if prices go back up to that 1000 level, which is a psychological resistance level, nothing wrong to take profit, because usually we can see that sellers near a psychological resistance level will come in to take some profit. I mean, if previously you entered near the 600 and you went up to the 1000, you could be sitting on a 50% profit. I mean, that's where sellers actually came in to take some profit. But overall, I would say for this counter, it looks like it's still an uptrending stock, still very strong. And I think after previous earnings, it went up quite a lot. And recently, it's still kept under this 1000 psychological level. So best, if prices are able to break above this 1000, it could be a new support level, which you can also consider to enter near this level. So if prices are able to break above this 1000 psychological level and stay above, this could be a new support level, and this could be a new buy zone, which you can consider to add on to ride the wave up to maybe then 1200 psychological resistance level. Yep. So hopefully that answers your question, Adrian. If not, that's all for Lumentum Holdings. If not, I'll pass on my time to Z to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Jia. I think this is actually the stock, right? That I'm kind of also watching, because I think the chart, right, looks really beautiful. It's a really beautiful uptrend, but it's just that this is one of the pricier stocks that I think, because it's $800 per share compared to some of the other stocks in the US market. That's cheaper, right? So let me move on to the next stock, and that would be by Scott, right? Let me share my chart over here, and this will be none other than Apple, right? So Scott, I hope you're still here. You mentioned that you are looking to accumulate more Apple shares, bought at 392. 392, maybe is there a typo? Because I don't think Apple actually went up to 300 plus yet lah. Yeah, I don't think Apple went up to 300 plus yet. I think now Apple is actually at an all-time high. You're thinking about good levels for entry and possible exits. Okay, so let's take a look at Apple. All right. Okay, so for Apple, right, at this point in time, I mean, of course, all-time high. I mean, a lot of you guys, perhaps you are thinking about Apple as well, because this is one of the very common stocks, or maybe you are even using their products every single day, like iPhones, MacBook, right? So Apple definitely, I think, is on a lot of people's radar as well, and currently is actually trading at an all-time high, right? And you can see that Apple, right, is actually approaching this 290 resistance, right? I believe it's actually testing this $290 resistance, right? Because this level, you can see in December, somewhere in December last year, it's actually near this 290, but selling came back, right? Profit taking happened, push prices back down. And it attempted to head back up somewhere in February this year, but didn't manage to, right? And right now, we are once again approaching this 290. In fact, yesterday, the high, it actually went up to 292.13, right? But it didn't manage to close above it. It actually closed at 287, right? A little bit shy of 290, right? So, but overall for Apple, right, it does seems to be having some strength returning to this counter. Why? Because number one, short-term strength, short-term trend, in fact, moving average 20 days pointing up, right? And if you look at the longer-term trend, the blue line is actually overall, it was actually sideways, right? And then it started to slope up somewhere in October, November, and it's still sloping up, right? For the red line, 100 days moving average, right? It was actually down, went back up, crossed above the blue line, flattened out, and now it's starting to show some signs of it potentially heading back up as well. Okay, so overall, it seems that Apple seems to be gaining some momentum again, and perhaps gaining some interest once again, right? Especially so if prices is able to break and hold above this 290 level, right? Definitely, this is one of the very crucial resistance that perhaps for those of you who are thinking about Apple, thinking about entry for Apple, that's where you want to monitor, right? But of course, the support level, right, that I would say that is one of the very important support level for Apple, right? Very clearly, it's around this 245, right? You can see that this 245 was a level that was actually tested multiple times. Can you see right over here? And in fact, on this very day, you can see this very bullish candlestick, right? right over here, even though it's red, but it's a bullish candlestick still. Why? Because of the long lower shadow indicating that buyers came in, scoop up the stock, push the price all the way back up, and price rebounded back up to 290 to where we are at today, right? So 245 would be the very crucial support level. If it's able to hold above this 205, I don't think that there's any issue with the uptrend, right? And this level, if prices is able to break and hold above 290, right, where is the potential upside target that we are looking towards, right? Very simply, it will be a very simple projection, right? You can see that the range that it was actually trading at from 245 to about 290, right? This range, when we project up towards the resistance, perhaps the next level could be around 335 to 330. That could be the next upside targets that we are looking at if prices is able to break and hold above the 290. And plus the fact that now we have 21GD bullish signal coming out is telling us that there's more strength returning, right? It's the flip side of a bearish signal. The bullish signal is telling us more strength is returning, right? So definitely for Apple, those are some of the very key levels, right, that perhaps we want to watch out for those of you who are thinking about looking to buy in, accumulate, right, for Apple, whereby this I would say would be considered a breakup strategy because we are looking and monitoring for price to test the resistance, break out above it, test that level 290 as a support again, right? So that would be what we call breakup strategy. But of course, inherently, breakup strategy carry on more risk. So that is where you want to also have your stop loss plan in place. Think about your risk management. Think about your downside, especially with relevance to the support level. If it's broken, that's where it's not so good. You might want to get out, want to reduce some exposure. Okay. Oh, Scott says sorry, should be Google. Okay. Maybe I've covered Apple. Perhaps the next round, cover Google, or perhaps maybe give you a hint. Maybe one of our bonus stock could be Google as well. I'm not sure, but maybe you can stay all the way to the end to check it out. Okay. So with that, I will pass my time back over to Joey to cover the next US stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. All right, so let's move on. So yeah, exactly, guys. I mean, at the end, right, that's where we will share with you guys, 3 bonus US stocks that you might want to put in your watch list, right? So in case your stock is not picked, right, maybe it might be the bonus. So we will not go and cover 2 times more than right? So maybe we'll wait until the end, right? Maybe yours might be the bonus if we purposely never choose you. So stay all the way to the end if you want to find out whether is it the bonus stock or maybe what would be our 3 bonus stock for today, right? That you can put in your watch list. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to the next stock. Wally, I hope you're still over here, Wally. Thanks so much for giving us a bit of context as well. I think your question is this, right? ORCL, Oracle. Okay, is it still on the uptrend? Is it still an uptrend? So I believe you are looking to Wally, if you're over here, just let us know. Are you looking to buy? Or maybe you bought previously and then hopefully you'll go back up, and stuff. If you're over here, you can type in the chat. Let me know. Are you looking to buy? Have you got in already, or what would that be, right? There's a bit of context. Yes, thanks. So you've got in already, right? Very good. So would there be even more upside? Is it still an uptrend? Can it push even higher for maybe even more profits? Let's find out. So you can see that for Oracle, I have already turned on my One Good Trend Pro indicator, right? In a matter of seconds, essentially for any asset classes, any stocks, US stocks, Singapore stock, DBS, Apple, whatever you want, type it in, turn it on, see it for yourself, all right? In seconds, there we go, right? If we see a bullish green signal, like what over here, right? We'll see bullish signals, pump, there we go, right? A red bearish signal, then you want to be careful. I'll probably say don't buy. And same thing over here for Oracle. If you ask me your question, is it still on an uptrend? If you ask me in November, December, January, and I tell you it's up, then I'm bluffing you. Obviously, it's down. You got 1, 2, 3 bearish signal. The green line also point down. Probably don't want to buy. You can see that if you get in at here, you think it's cheap. You get in at 250, you think it's cheap. You get in at 200. And then before you know it, the price from 300 drop until become 140, almost half price. 300 now become 150. So if you get in when you see bearish signal, then you will not so good. Not so good. Okay, again. So when do we want to get in? We get in when we see signs of a reversal, right? Signs of a reversal. So I think Z has covered a couple of stocks now, like APPL, even Morgan Stanley, even for AMD as well. Those were stocks that were pushing higher. They've gone out. I think Jia also covered this stock called Lumentum, pushing higher, strong, attempting to break resistance in an uptrend, right? But for Oracle, you can see it's slightly different, right? It's not really like, all-time high, pushing higher kind of thing. It's more like a reversal kind of play, right? It's kind of like, previously in April last year, we got 1, 2, and we saw the reversal, right over here. So if I can take from here and then paste over here, it seems like a bit, right? Seems like from here, right? Same thing. Previously also we got 3 bearish signals. They go down, all right? And we got 2 bullish signals coming out. So seems like maybe it's a bit of a reversal play, right? Like what we have seen last year, all right? So back to your question, Wendy, is it in an uptrend? Well, I would say that the longer term trend, those are the red and blue line, well, we take a bit more time to play out. But in terms of the short term trend, well, since like last week, or maybe in April, you could see that the green line that was like going down since October, down, flat down, started to point up in mid of April, not last week, quite long, last month, already point up, right? Is it still pointing up? Yeah, the green line is still pointing up, right? So if you ask me, the short-term trend up, the short-term trend is up, since April, already up already, now still up, right? So we are definitely seeing some signs of reversal, because not only is the short-term trend up, we got not 1, but we got 2 1GT bullish signals. So this could be what we call a potential reversal play, all right? And I think it is poised for even more upside if we can break this next critical resistance level. Just write it down. For Wendy, you can write it down as well. For those of you who are following this stock, you can write it down as well. I would say that this level right over here, oh, no wonder, the 200 psychological resistance level. Look at this. It was a very good support level. Same thing over here. We tested, we broke down, retested, it became resistance. We went all the way down, right? And we are back over here below the 200 psychological resistance level. So the price is 194.59, which is below 200 lah, right? So I would say that, in fact, yesterday night, I think it went to a high of like 200, then it come back down already, right? So you can see 200 is a psychological resistance level, right? We were right here, we came down. So that it's a resistance, it's a good thing. That's where, we could see selling coming back, like what we have seen previously in December and November, right? It is normal to see some selling. So what happened last night was normal, right? If you want to take some profit near 199, 198, or near 200, 197, also can, up to you, right? But for me, what I'm looking at is that, for this reversal to continue, right? To play out like what we have seen, previously, right? All the way up, right? We need to get past the 200, right? To see a very strong reversal happening. What I say over here, all the way back up. So, no, of course, don't ask me when it will break 200. I also don't know. If I know, then it will work already. Okay, so nobody knows when it will break 200. But the key is that we don't need to predict when it will break. It will break next Tuesday at this time or next Wednesday. No, nobody knows, right? But if it does break, and if we do see another 1GT bullish signal, I think that is where there would be more upside momentum. Okay, we could start to see the reversal continue much more firmly all the way to 3 to 260 right over here, a little bit of resistance. So that could be the near-term target right over here from 200 to 260, maybe a bit of a consolidation. And then if that gives you again another leg up all the way to retest the previous high at $340. Right? So that could be the upside. That could be the upside if the 200 psychological resistance gives way. So watch it. I think that's a very key level. You could set some alerts above 200, 201, 205. 200 to 205. Give a bit of allowance. If you can break 200 to 205 or maybe even 210, it will be much firmer. The reversal will continue. There may even be a new 1GT bullish signal, right? And that's where I think you could write even more. More positions can be taken to average up to ride the upside even more, to ride the reversal even more. Does it make sense? All right, so that's for Oracle, not too bad. More of a reversal play compared to the other stocks whereby it's pretty much all-time high. This is a reversal kind of play. All right, so that's Oracle. Let me pass on the mic to Jai to cover the next US stock. Jai?
All right, thank you, Joey. So the next stock that I'll be covering on will be on this United Health UNH, the counter code UNH. I think this counter previously was actually showing a lot of weakness back in April 2025 after some news and earnings came out for the week. There's a weaker guidance for the future outlook. So I mean, if I see Winkit was asking about UNH 1 year ago, I believe you bought it at about 300. Is it on the one good trend? Should I hold on for long term? So I mean, if you look, I was just looking through, previously when you bought it 1 year back, maybe back in May, when that was near the 300 level. I think previously when it was downtrending and you got in, and now you're still holding to it. It has been more, I think maybe 1 year or slightly more than that. It seems like you're looking to whether you're thinking of holding on for a longer term or whether to take some profit. I mean, if you look at the chart, previously prices actually gapped down from this 380 level, came close to that 260 or even at 250 level, was kind of trading a bit between the 250 to 380 level. Yep. So I mean, prices afterwards went close to that 380, which was quite a strong resistance, couldn't break above, came back down to that 300, went back close to that 380 again to test, but afterwards came back down. But now recently, if you look at the chart, it's actually slightly different. Previously, we can see that the 20 days moving average was kind of pointing up, but overall, the 100 days and the 200 days was pointing down. But just recently, we can see that the 200 days actually start to flatten and afterwards start to point up, and the 100 days moving average also starts to point up. It could be a sign that there could be some reversal, or it could be an early indication that there's some reversal for this counter. But if you look at the chart, 380 is actually where previously it was kept under, and recently prices for the past maybe 1 to 2 weeks has been kept under this 380 psychological resistance level. If you are looking to hold for long term, I mean, overall it looks like there's some strength, but we wouldn't know whether it will be like the previously when it hit 380 and afterwards it start to come down again. But if prices are able to break above the 380 level, I would say there could be more upside towards that. Previously around that 440 level, that could be the next upside for this counter. But overall, if you have hold for quite a long, for a long period, it seems like your opportunity cost, for 1 year you have been holding to this lah. So I would say if prices are near this 380 level, you can consider to take some profit. And if prices manage to break above this 380, nothing wrong to re-enter when it breaks above this 380, as it could be a new indication that there might be more upside towards that 440. So if prices break above 380, this could be another new support zone that you can consider to re-enter and ride the wave up towards that 440 or even that 450 level. Yeah. So if you will look at the 1GT indicator, I mean, there's a 1GT bullish signal as for now. And if prices break above this 380, there could be another 1GT bullish signal that appears as well, showing that there might be more confirmation on this counter showing more strength. Yep. So I would say that's for UNH, United Health. If not, I'll pass on my time to Z to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Yai. Okay, let me put my screen up over here. Okay, so the next one will be by DCHE. I hope you are still here. Okay, so you're asking about two stocks, right? Leidos and Kodak Gas. Actually, both never really heard of it. Take a very quick look at the stock. Leidos is in a downtrend, Kodak is in an uptrend. So if you're asking about buying, definitely you want to be looking at a stock that is in an uptrend rather than a downtrend. Okay, so we will look at Kodak for now. All right. So for Kodak Gas, I have not really looked into this stock much, right? So I was just looking through it. I think oil field service equipment industry, looking at gas compression services. Yeah, oil and gas related, I would say. So that's why you can actually see that this stock is pretty much in a very strong uptrend as well, right? and the 1GT bullish signal actually came out on 10th of December. So I think you're thinking of entering into either one of these stocks, right? Not too sure if you're actually holding on to it already or not, or maybe a fully no position want to think about getting in, right? But either way, I think for this uptrend definitely looks very intact, right? All three moving averages are heading up, heading in the same direction. Short term, long term, both uptrend is aligned, right? Then subsequently, when we know that the trend is up, what do we want to look for? We want to look for support and resistance, right? That is where then potentially we can look at, where are the buyers are at, where potentially are the sellers returning. Then that's where you want to think about positioning yourself for entry, right? So based on Kodiak gas, right? I mean, don't have to go too far back, right? We can see I've drawn a couple of lines right over here. This is 47, I think 47, 40, sorry, no, 40, 48, 48, yeah, 48 right here was actually back in 2025 was the high, right? And prices was kept below this level until it finally managed to break out above this in February, right? And prices went all the way up to, as of last closing, was about 70.27, right? And from February, after it broke out, right, above the all-time high back in 2025, you can see that prices, it did actually consolidate a bit, right? So let me show you, right? It broke out, consolidate a bit, broke out, consolidate a bit, broke out, consolidate here, and now it's going up like that, right? So at this point in time, I do not see any sort of like consolidation yet, right? I think that is perhaps one thing that you might want to watch out for and to see where are the consolidation phase happening, and that's probably where perhaps we can potentially position ourselves for entry as well, right? So you can see over here when there is consolidation, that definitely will be a lower bound and upper bound, right? Support, resistance, right? So consolidation, you can see that's why I've drawn another one at about 52, right? Then you can see another one around this 60, right? And then the other one at around this 64, around this 64 right over here, right? So you can see that along the way, right, all these resistance turn to what we call higher support level, right? Which is a good sign that the uptrend is strong, right? Because if buyers are there to break a resistance, it turns into a new higher support. What does it tell you? It tells you that, this stock not too bad, right? Because buyers are willing to buy at higher prices, right? So right now, price is at about $70, right? And we know that the previous support seems to be around this 64, right? 64. Why did I draw 64, right? It's because you can see right over here. Let me just circle it out for you. Right over here, right? You can see that it was actually testing as like a resistance, right? A couple of days, not too long, maybe a couple of days or 1 week, right? It was testing. Eventually, it broke above and it managed to continue to hold above it, right? And like what I've mentioned, right? Over the past 2 weeks, it does not seem like there is any sort of consolidation happening as of yet. So I think that is one thing that perhaps you might want to watch out for and monitor. Where are the buyers willing to come in to scoop up or step in to support the prices, right? But of course, I think one of the resistance that I've drawn will be right over here near this perhaps 72.50, right? Near this 72.50, whereby potentially sellers could be returning and we are seeing some sort of profit taking happening once again, right? And if I were to turn on this thing, what we call the trailing support and resistance, which Joey talked about it earlier, whereby it follows the prices as it moves, right? It accounts for the stock volatility. You can see that price for this Kodiak gas, it has been holding above this trailing support since December. Currently, is it still holding above it? Yes, right? And you can see that this trailing support, right, even though it's accounted for the volatility, right, you can see that it's very near to this horizontal 64 support that I've drawn, right? The one that I've drawn doesn't account for volatility. It's static, right? It doesn't account for the stock price movement, right? But now both of these are actually aligned here at around this 64. I would think that these potentially could be one of the support zone that for maybe Choy or maybe for those of you who are interested in Kodiak gas services, this could be where potentially you could set some price alert as well to potentially accumulate if prices were to retrace back to this support level, right? To retrace back to this support, this could be one of the potential zone of entry. So that's where potentially you could set some price alerts, okay? Because as of now, I think definitely for this stock, uptrend still looks intact. Price action is also showing us the same bullish momentum. 1GT bullish indicator is actually still present. And just let me check, right? From here all the way to where we are at now, that's about, 90%, right? In about 5 months, right? Fantastic percentage returns, right? For those of you, if you are in this stock, right, since the 1GT bullish signal actually came out here, 90%, fantastic, right? But I think one thing that I want to highlight is that on Monday, on Monday 11, they're actually releasing their earnings. So there could be fluctuations as well that, I mean, definitely volatility we'll be seeing on Monday, whether could it swing up, swing down, I don't know, right? But I think these are the two immediate key levels that perhaps you might want to watch out for, near the support around 64, 65, as well as the resistance around 72, right? But for those of you, who are here with us today, 170 over of you here who are still with us, if you would like to try out this indicator, right? I mean, of course, you don't have the 1GT, the trailing support and resistance, but you want to take a look at these signals yourself, right? You can see turn on, turn off, right? If you want to try out and take a look at these signals, I think Joey actually have a 14 days free trial, totally free. You don't have to pay anything. You can also have this indicator put in your trading view, and you can turn it on, turn it off yourself to actually take a look at where the signals are actually coming out. And perhaps it can also help you with your trading decisions as well, right? As what I mentioned over here, when the signal first came out to where we are at, we are currently sitting on about 90% profits, right? If we have gotten in with the 1GP bullish signal. But of course, I mean, you got to see, right, whether this does it fit into your trading plan, and also think about your risk appetite as well. Okay, so I think for Kodiak Gas, DJ, as mentioned, these are some of the levels. Set some price alert to take note of these levels for potential position of entry and exits as well. Okay, so that would be for Kodiak Gas Services. I will pass my time back over to Joey to cover the next US stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. All right, so thank you so much, I think, Z, for also talking about this, one good trend LITE indicator as well. So what we have been doing, guys, is that we have been using what we call the one good trend pro indicator, whereby it's a bit more advanced, there's more features, more boxes that can turn on, the trailing support and all that. But what happens is that we actually have the one good trend LITE indicator. It's a simpler version. The link is right in the chat, and that allows us to turn on the bullish and bearish signals together with the moving averages as well in a couple of seconds. So test drive it for free. Link is right in the chat. Click on the link, all right, and you will pretty much come to this page right over here. Help me to just put down the banner, team. All right, so you can see this, the banner right over here, the exact trading tool that we use daily to spot winning trades. Over here, right? Get clear buy and sell signals in seconds. All right, like what we've been doing over the past 1 hour, right? And you get more than $3,000 worth of pure training, money-making information for free, or just for saying maybe, just for test driving the one good trend LITE indicator. So click on the link. The link is right in the chat. You'll come to this page, and that's where go to test it out. There'll be some trainings provided to guide you on when to get in, when to get out as well. So as I say, if you see a green bullish signal, would you be more positive? Would you be a bit more confident to get in? For sure. If you see a red bearish signal, not 1, not 2, but 3 coming out, you still there to buy? Probably not lah. So I hope that helps. The link is right there. Test drive the one good trend LITE indicator for free. Okay, now let's move on to the next stock. And that would be a very popular stock that a lot of you were asking about. Let me get to talk about it. And that would be NVDA. So user EF2U, right? You talk about NVIDIA and avgo.com. Which one to accumulate further, since they have been quite quiet? Right? The rest of it, like AMD, Qualcomm, has moved up. Well, you asked about NVIDIA. So let's take a look at NVIDIA in a bit. I think another of you asking about NVIDIA. Let me just go to pull out. Lo Moon Wah can accumulate NVIDIA, right? Or Microsoft. Let's take a look at NVIDIA. So same thing, looking to get in on NVIDIA. Is it good to get in? Let's see. Another one asking about NVIDIA, SFR. Can look at NVDA. So you went long yesterday. So I think you bought yesterday lah, but market sold off into the close. So I don't know whether it will come down or not, right? So same thing, NVIDIA. What is the outlook? Let's dive into NVDA right now. So 211.50, that is the price of NVIDIA. So I would say that for NVIDIA, well, the longer term trend has been up since last year, and of course we saw a little bit of a consolidation below this resistance around the 200 to 195. But over the past 2 weeks, right? Okay, let me just go to turn on the 1GT bullish and bearish signals. Pump. There we go, and let's see what it says. So you can see that for NVIDIA, right, we had a couple of bullish or maybe even bearish signals coming out. Let's take some time to load. Okay, maybe just a while. Okay, there we go. We had a couple of bullish and bearish signals coming out since last year. So look at this, right? We got bearish signals coming out last year, January 2025, down, 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 bullish, bullish, the reversal happened, right? And since, like I would say, December last year, all the way to March, it has been a bit boring, right? It has been, I would say, consolidating from the 170 to around, right, so let me just draw this support level, 170 to around the 200 level, right? Somewhere around 200, 195. That is pretty much the range, right? I don't know what it's doing, but you can see a bearish signal went down, bullish went up. So up, down, 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 down. I don't know how long I can do it, but over the past 2 weeks, finally, we have got above this resistance level at about the 195. So let me just go to zoom in a bit for you. You could see that this 195, okay, let me just put, I think about 195, 196. Look at this, right? Resistance came down, we neared it, came down, but we managed to break above it last month around the 195. And this 195, you see, right? From a resistance, it has turned into what we call a new support zone right over here, right? Over the past 1 month, look at this, right? That's where some bargain hunting have came out as we approach the 195. So anything near 195, 196, 197, 198, 199, 200, I mean around here, right over here. You can see that that's where some bargain have came back and we have pushed away from this new support level, right? So back to your question, I think some of you are asking, right, whether is it a good time to accumulate, right? You got in, some looking to get in, some already got in, right? Well, my take is this: 195 is a very key resistance, turn support, resistance, turn support, and we are obviously still holding above it. We got 1 GT, bullish signals appearing, pump, it started to go up a little bit already, all right? And we're still holding above 195, so not too bad. Resistance, I would say maybe to 220, right? It seems like maybe 220 to 215, a little bit of a cap for now. That is kind of like the range now, right? So 195 to 215, all right? 195 to 215. That I would say would be like a $20 range from here to here. So you might just consolidate, right? Of course, if the 215 to give way, targets could then be raised even higher. We could see a next upside target of around that 235 to even 240. So I think it looks good. I mean, NVDA would be, I would say, one of the leaders of the entire AI space, producing, GPU, graphic processing units, huge demand. It's a play on the AI for sure, one of the leaders in the entire AI industry or the tech sector, right? Of course, the other stocks like Micron, semiconductor like Broadcom, AMD, those have been pushing up a lot, a bit more of a sector, not really a sector rotation, but kind of like a play within the sector, funds rotating to the smaller caps, to the mid caps, away from the blue chips like NVIDIA, which is like a market leader, right? But it is still in play. The AI sector is still in play right now. I would say anything above 195 to 200, it still looks pretty bullish. All right. And in fact, what we could do is to turn on the trailing support, right? Maybe we could just turn on this trailing support and take a look and see whether is it above it. There we go. So you can see the trailing support has popped up, right? When the bullish signals appeared, up, flat, follow it. And we are right over here around the 195, 196 as well. Right over here, you can see, right? We kind of push away from the trailing support as well over the past few days. So not too bad, right? This trailing support still holds, it still stands. Anything above it still looks bullish. Even the green 20 days moving average line that represents the short-term trend, obviously still pointing up. So more up than down, more bullish than bearish for now, I would say. All right. I'm looking at more of a break of 215, 220 to see the next phase of upside. All right. So that's for NVIDIA. Let me pass on the mic to Choy to cover the next US stock. Choy.
All right, thank you, Joey, for covering NVIDIA. The next stock that we're covering on is actually on this Novo Nordisk. I think there was 2 persons that's asking about this. Let me just find. I think Kunan was asking, I bought Novo Nordisk for USD 43 and holding. How much upside? I think someone else was asking as well. I think, yeah, Joey Chin can share your view on NVO. Average down recently before results. My average price is about 56.3, still way below market price. Okay, so let us look at this Nova Nordisk. In this counter, I mean, clearly, if you just look at the trend wise, okay, just give me a sec. I remove this. Okay, so I mean, we just look at the trend wise, it's clearly that the counter has been showing very strong down weakness, downtrending stock for this counter. So I think back in September 2024 or even November 2024, you can see that the 100 days moving average already start to point down. 100 days and the 200 days has been pointing down. And since then, you can see that this counter has been showing a lot of weakness, breaking key support levels, and afterwards coming down and down. So, I mean, if you look at the trend now, overall, you can see that the 100 days moving average, the 200 days moving average still points down. Even though the 20 days moving average is showing some strength. So actually, short-term wise, it's showing a bit of strength. But overall, in terms of the long-term and the mid-term, it's still showing a weakness. So if we look at this counter, I mean, for Kunan and Joey, I mean, you guys already have these positions in this counter. So I mean, let us look at where could be a potential area where there might be some resistance for this counter. So if you look at this counter for this NVO, previously there was a support maybe near that $40. I would say prices came close to that $40 back in August 2025. In November 2025, it came close again, and in fact, it came close, and afterwards it break down below this $40, and prices came down to maybe close to that $35, which is a support level as well. But afterwards, managed to went back up above this $40 recently. So I would say, if you look at the trend wise and the chart, previously there was a resistance near that $65 as well, which prices actually came close to the level quite a few times back in September and also January this year. So if you look at the trend for this counter, short term is showing a bit of strength, but overall it's still a bit of weakness. There's a 1GT bullish signal, which indicates that there might be more buying interest for this counter as for now. The next resistance, I would say, a key resistance might be near the 65 level. But overall, with the long-term strength still showing weakness, we actually wouldn't recommend you to look at this counter or actually add on for this counter. So if you follow the 1GT framework, we actually, for such downtrending counter, the first thing is we won't be even looking at it at all. Yeah, but for Kunan and Joey, who actually have this counter, the next resistance might be near this 65, which you might want to consider to maybe exit or take some profit near this level. Or if prices start to show more weakness and go back down below that 40 or even break that 35 support level, you might want to have a stop loss plan in mind for this counter. Yep. So hope that answers your question, Joey and also Kunan. Yep. If not, I'll pass on my time to Z to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Jai. Okay, let me just okay. I hope you guys can see my screen and also the next stock that I'll be covering, which is by NG, right? About NEE. Okay, so maybe later I need to hide the comment a bit because it's way too long, right? But NG mentioned that he bought NEE with two 1GT buy signals. So great that you actually have the 1GT indicator because you are able to see the signals, right? At 96.2 region. The stock has been blowing hot and cold due to volatility linked to the US-Iran tension, causing sentiment swing. So where is the support and the resistance? Okay, good question. Let me just hide the comment over here. Okay, so right now, I hope you guys can all see my chart, which is the NEE chart right over here. Okay, so for NG, right? NG mentioned that you bought with two 1GT buy signals at about 96.20. So 96.20, I would say maybe somewhere around here. You bought somewhere around here, right? In fact, I don't think there's just two 1GT bullish signal. There's 1, 2, 3. I see 3 1GT bullish signal on the chart right over here, right over here. Okay, so let's see where is the support and the resistance for this NEE. All right. Okay, so right now, let me just clear all of this. Okay, so right now, as of last night close, NEE was trading, well, it closed at around 93.32, right over here. Okay, and I think that immediately, right, you are able to, I think there'll be two camps of people whereby they will tell me different support, different resistance. I think number one, right, some of you guys might say that, hey, I think the support is about 96, but perhaps some of you guys will also say, hey, the resistance, right, is about 98. I would agree that both are actually right? Because we do see that, you know, there is resistance returning right over here. Whenever prices went near this 96, right, you can see selling pressure returning. Right, and of course, right over here, it is also valid that when price break the 96, touch this near this 98, right, selling pressure also returning. So what I would do, maybe, okay, let me just change this. Maybe what I can do, right, will be like that, right? Because, you know, the thing is that when we talk about resistance, we always say that it's not a specific point. It is because the level that I draw, the level that Jia draw, the level that Joey draw, all our resistance could be different, but it will always be around that zone. So I would say that perhaps right now, for NEE, the resistance zone that we are looking at perhaps could be from a 96 to about a 98, right? Because indeed, it is where selling pressure we see coming back multiple times, right? And over the past week, price indeed, like what NG has said, right? Due to the volatility linked to the US and Iran tension blowing hot and cold, right? Up and down, up and down. Yes, that's what actually we are seeing. And it seems to be testing, right? Over the past week, it seems to be right at that resistance zone, right? And in terms of support, where would the support be at? I would say that the support, right, you can see very clearly, I've drawn it at around this $90 psychological level, whereby previously buyers came in multiple times, right, to step in to support the prices, right? When profit taking happened, come in again, went back up. Profit taking happened, come in again, push back up. Profit taking happened, come in, push back up. And this is where we are at right now, right? 93. Right, 93, which is, I think, in between the support and the resistance zone, because support around 90, resistance zone around 96 to 98, right? So for NG, right, for NG, you mentioned that you bought somewhere about 96.2. So 96.2, I would say that you bought somewhere within that resistance zone, right? But overall, I would say that, I mean, for this uptrend, definitely still pretty much intact, right? Why? Longer term rate and the blue line is up. Green line has also been sloping up. We have 3-1 GT bearish, bullish signal. Sorry, not bearish, bullish. 3-1 GT bullish signal that is still in play. So overall, I think as long as it's holding above the $90, right, the support level, right, it still looks pretty okay, right? It still looks pretty okay. And in terms of the upside targets that we are looking at, where's the next upside target? So I hope you guys can see this. Can you see, like, right over here? You can see that back in October to February, right, it was actually trading within this range. And right now, right, it seems to be trading once again in this range, right? And if we were to do an upside projection, like so, right, can you see, like, based on the range here to here to here, the next upside potentially that we could be looking at, perhaps somewhere around this 106, right? It's 106 based on the projection range that we have just seen, right? From here to here to here, right? If prices is indeed able to, you know, if it consolidates sideways like this, and if it's able to break and hold above this resistance zone, right? Then the potential upside target based on a upside projection, right, could be towards the next resistance zone, like so, right, around the 106. That could be the next upside targets that we are looking at if prices is able to break and hold above these. I would say maybe 96, 95, right? Maybe about 96 to about 98, right? That resistance zone, if it's able to break and hold above it, and we see bullish candlestick appearing again, you know, all three moving averages heading up, and you get another 1 GT bullish signal, great, right? Next potential upside target based on the projection range towards the 106, right? But right now, I would say that price is actually, there's some pullback, definitely. Price actually pull back, and it is trading right now between the resistance and the support zone. So for NG, right, for NG, perhaps you might want to set some alerts as well, because if prices were to break down, right, if prices were to come back and break down below this $90, right, I think perhaps that's where you also want to have your, you know, stop loss plan in place as well. Not too sure if you have done your position sizing and also your stop loss plan. But if it does break down, I think that's where we might start to see some short-term weakness returning once again. And then the next support, as you can see, will be looking towards the 86. But overall, I think now definitely it is still looking okay, right? It's definitely still looking okay. Okay, so that would be for NEE support and resistance. Hope that helps for NG. Set some price alerts as well, and I'll pass my time back over to Joey to cover the next US stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, and that would be, let's see who is asking about this, right? And I think we have some comments coming up as well, right? We have like QCOM as well. I'm a client of Joey, great Remizio team. Thank you so much for your kind words. I think a lot of you are clients of us in Flip Securities. You're getting our daily updates, ideas by WhatsApp. Really appreciate your support, right? But just want to share again, as I say, right? If you're not yet a client, you are not getting any service from your own broker, right? No, nobody send you any ideas, videos, anything like that, right? It's just like a DIY kind of thing, right? Link is right in the chat. Team, just place the link in the chat again before I forget, right? But that's where you get some of our top ideas much faster than we, share in our Friday weekly Ask Me Any Stock. You get them daily by WhatsApp for free. All right. So thank you so much. All right, QCOM, all right, for your kind words. Really appreciate it. All right. Very best insightful analysis. Thank you so much. Okay. Now let's move on to the next stock, and that would be this stock called Tesla, right? TSLA right over here, right? So let me just read your comment before I hide it because it's a bit too thick, right? I'm holding Tesla long term with an average cost below 300. Below 300, great, right? So I would say below 300, mid 300 will be over here. So maybe you got in around here, maybe last year below 300, that was like over here, right? Great, right? So yes, like gone up and then came back down, and then let's see what it looks like right now. So 300, you got in below 300, it could be 280, it could be 250, or maybe even lower, better, right? The price is 411, okay? Yesterday, it has break above the recent high. Looks like it has start turning around to uptrend, or is it just a rebound? Can confirm. So is it looking like a reversal? Like, could there be more upside? What would be the next target, right, that we could potentially head to? Now, let's go ahead to take a look. So you can see that for Tesla, well, I have already turned on my One Good Trend Pro indicator in terms of the bullish and bearish signals, just to save time, right? Turn it off, you turn it on, and there we go, right? So you have got in, I would say, when you see a bullish signal, just take a look at it yourself. You can see when we get bullish signals, not one, but two, there we go, pop, all the way up. If you get bearish red color signal and you go and buy, I would say good luck to you lah, huh? There we go all the way down, right? Every time you get a bearish signal, we start going down a bit or sideways. But when a bullish signal appear, there we go, right? Over the past few months since January, you tell me you go and buy, now I'll say good luck to you also lah, because you see you've got a bearish signal, the green line also turned down, and then we got another bearish signal, and then we went down from like 460, go down to 360. You get in, then stuck lah, huh? Okay, so when to get back in? Well, like what I say, when we get bullish signals coming in, there we go, right? There we go, right? Over here, there we go. Hopefully, right? So we got a new 1GT bullish signal actually appearing over the past 1 month. So not too bad, right? Since December, bearish signals has appeared. Green short-term trend was down. But over the past 1 month, well, we got a 1GT bullish signal, and that would be a very good confirmation, I would say, right? However, you could see that another confirmation that we want to seek as well would be the short-term trend turning up and also together with that bullish signal. So the green line that was going down since December has started to turn up over the past 1 week. So back to your question, right? Would there be some signs of reversal, a bit of a rebound, maybe turning into an uptrend? For sure. I would say the short-term trend has started to turn up already, right? The long-term trend, looking at the red and blue line, well, it's a bit sideways. I would say it takes a while to play out, right? It takes a while to play out, but I would say we need a bit more, days to get more confirmation. But the red is still above the blue, all right? If we can hover above that 400, I would say, it still looks okay. We're not officially in a downtrend in the long term. It's still okay. But for the short term, we have turned up already. Now, what would be a very key resistance level that could give us more confirmation of a stronger reversal? So let me draw this resistance right over here. I would say that the resistance in terms of the recent high would be clearly the $500. Look at this. I mean, we're right over here in December 2024. Right over here, you can see we got bearish signal. It starts going all the way down. All right. Now, if you take a look at it again, right over here in December 2025. So I don't know why every time December you go there. Yeah, it seems like December 2024 we went there. December 2025 we go there, and then we come back down. I don't know why. Right? Maybe December 2026 you'll go there again. Okay. But every time we hit there, and we push away, bearish signal appear, and we go down, right? So that would be, I would say, a very key psychological resistance level. I mean, I don't know when it will hit here. Maybe it's here, maybe it's here, maybe it's here. I don't know. But anything near 500, that is where some heavy selling can appear again. If you want to take some profit there, by all means, go ahead, right? In fact, I will encourage you to take some profit there because every time we hit there, December, every time come down, right? So if you hit there to like, hit that again, 495, 497, 49 something, right? Or 48 something, by all means, take some profit, right? Because that's where selling can return again, all right? So I would say that for now, we are probably seeing a bit of a temporary resistance, maybe around that 420, right? If I can draw this line, you see, right, 420 was a bit of a support. We broke down, a bit of resistance here, and we are like kind of like just below it. So, it's like 411. In fact, yesterday, we went up near to 420. I think the high was like 415, and some sellers came back and pushed it a little bit down already, right? So 420 would be a psychological resistance that we've been trading below for more than 2 months now. It's what we call a sell zone. If that gives way, back to your question, YL, I would say that the uptrend can continue even more. The reversal will continue even more. It will be much more firmer, right? In terms of the upside reversal from 420 all the way back up to that same psychological $500. All right, so that's for Tesla, right? Tesla, not too bad. I would say a bit of a reversal. Another bullish signals coming out will be even better. A break above 420 will be even better. Another powerful confirmation. All right, but as of today, at least we got a bullish signal. At least the short-term trend has turned up, right? Compared to if you ask me in January, February, March, I would say please wait first. Haven't yet. Everything is down. But now, or over the past 1-2 weeks, some signs of a reversal, at least. All right, okay, so that's for Tesla, TSLA. Let me pass on the mic to Jai to cover the next US stock. Jai?
All right, thank you, Joey. So the next stock that we're covering on, actually, I wasn't aware that this counter was listed, but let me just... Okay, SHAK. I think I'm not too sure if you guys have heard of this this company, SHAK. I think it came to Singapore quite a few years back. I think it was quite popular. Then afterwards, seems like I wasn't aware that it actually was listed on the US market. So I mean, I think someone was asking about this counter. Let me just take it out. Okay, I think Ian, any thoughts on Nike and SHAK per 1 GT on the resistance level, stop loss level, or any potential entry? Currently no position yet, thinking of adding some position as both pullback. So I mean, I was just looking and I got interested in this counter. So I mean, for SHAK, I mean, maybe the chat can let guide or help Ian whether he should be adding on to this counter or whether he should be buying this counter or whether he should be waiting. So I mean, if you guys think that he should be buying, maybe you guys can type a B, or for maybe he need to wait, or don't look at this counter, maybe can type a W for wait. So whether Ian should be looking at this counter to buy, or should he be waiting to wait for some more confirmation before entering this counter? Energize, wow, what a big drop. Yeah, agree. So actually I see it was a 28% drop yesterday after the earnings that came out. Brandon, wait. Chong, wait. Francis, wait. Yeah, so actually I agree with you guys, that Ian should wait for this counter. I mean, like what we see, there's a 1 GT bearish signal, they appear, and even before that, I mean, we can see that the price actually dropped quite a huge amount. I mean, just for one night, it actually dropped close to the 30% after their earnings. So I mean, for me, I wouldn't be looking at this counter, especially after the huge drop. there might be more selling pressure that comes in for the next few days. Wouldn't know when the price will stabilize. So for me, I would say, Ian, for this counter, I would say just wait. Wouldn't recommend to enter. But I mean, we can look at where could be a next potential support level or where could be a resistance level to look at for this counter. So just looking at the trend wise overall, we can see that the 100 days moving average is kind of pointing out, but after the earnings, it's kind of like flattening a bit and start to point down. The 20 days moving average actually is pointing down, and the 200 days moving average, I mean, clearly is pointing down as well. So previously, we can see that this counter has a support near the 75 to 80 level. I mean, prices came down to test this level quite a few times, and the resistance is actually near that 110 psychological level as well. But after the earnings yesterday, prices came down and get below this 75 level, which could be an indication that after so long, buyers actually came in to push up the price to stay above the 78, but afterwards, prices break below this 75 easily, after the earnings. It could be a sign that this could be turned into a resistance level, which might be a key resistance now. So if the next few days you can see that prices start to stabilize, or if not come close to the 75 but not able to break above this, that could be a sign that that might be a resistance level, a support turn resistance. And where could be a next support that we can find? I mean, if you zoom out back in October 2023, which was quite a long while back, this was a support level that prices actually managed to stay above, which is around that $54, $55. So I would say if you are looking to enter for this counter, I would say wouldn't recommend because it's showing a lot of weakness. And if prices continue to show more weakness, you might see that it comes down to the support of 55, which was back in October 2023. We actually want prices to maybe stabilize above that, $55. If prices come back down to the 55 and start to stabilize, and afterwards, when you see that the 100 days moving average, 200 days moving average start to go down and start to flatten, 100 days start to flatten, I mean, that could be a sign that there might be some stability in this counter. And afterwards, if this counter start to show more strength afterwards and start to have a 1GT bullish signal, that could be an indication that there might be some reversal for this counter. But I would say for Ian, if you're looking at this counter for now, wouldn't recommend you to enter, as we wouldn't know whether this counter will continue to show more weakness and go towards that 55 support level. Yep. So hopefully that answers your questions on SHAK. So yeah, if not, I'll pass on my time to Z to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Jiayi. Okay, I think we have gone for 5 rounds each already today. Maybe I'll just do a very quick recap because I saw in the comments, right, we do have some repeated stocks. But don't worry, because after this live show at the end, you can actually rewatch the replay on YouTube. Okay, so let me just do a very quick recap, right? So Joey's first started off with the S&P 500 index, followed by the Nasdaq composite, right? And the very first stock that he actually analyzed today was actually Morgan Stanley, followed by QCOM by Jiayi, and then I did McDonald's, right? And then the fourth stocks would be AMD, and followed by Lumentum Holdings, right? That's LTE. And then we have Apple, AAPL, followed by Oracle, ORCL, and then Jiayi did United Healthcare, right? UNH. And then I did Kodiak Gas, KGS. Okay, and then after that, Joey, the 10th stock, he actually covered NVDA, which is a very popular stock, NVDA, and then Jiayi did Novo Nordisk, right? Novo Nordisk, and then I covered NEE, which is Next Era Energy, right? And then the most recent round, I think Joey actually did cover Tesla, TSLA, and Jiayi just covered SHAK, right? SHAK. So right now we are down to the 15th stock, right? 15th stock. Perhaps we'll round off this and then we can actually go straight to our bonus stock session for today. All right. Okay, so let me just share my chart right over here. And I think the one that I'll be covering today, I think will be by Ian again, right? I think because Ian has been joining us every single session, right? And I realized that Ian actually is somebody who actually bought stocks, right, that hold for very long, perhaps, because I realized most of the time, Ian, your average cost price is very low, which is fantastic, right? And some of the stocks that you're thinking about adding on position again, I think definitely that's the right mindset and framework that you want to have, because the thing is that you have stocks that you bought very long time ago, which is very cheap, right? But we don't wait for the price to go back all the way to the cheap levels and buy. We want to think about buying when the trend is actually going back up, right? So I think definitely that is the right mindset and the right way to think about it, right? So let's talk about this stock right over here, which is SPG, right? And that's Simon Property Group. So any thoughts on SPG as per 1GT on resistance and support level, thinking to accumulate more for dividends or to take profits? And as you guys can see over here, Ian's average cost price is $63. That's very low, right? Very, very, very low. Okay. Energized Mood say have a lot of patience. Yeah, definitely. I think Ian is a very patient man, most likely. Okay, so last night, for Simon Property Group, right? It actually closed at 201, right? 201. And you can see that right over here, right? If we talk about Simon Property Group, the trend seems to be pretty much intact, right? Definitely, because green is up, red is up, blue is up, everything is actually pointing up, right? And in fact, we actually get that longer term confirmation, right? The uptrend reversal back in last year, September, when the red actually crossed above the blue, right? And all three are kind of like gently sloping up in that upward direction, right? And right now, price is at 201. So we have drawn some support levels over here, and previously was actually resistance, right? So as you can see, I would say the immediate support level, right, that I've drawn, right, will be definitely the psychological $200 level. Definitely that's one of the psychological support that perhaps Ian, you might want to take note of, right? If you're thinking about accumulating positions, when the trend is in an uptrend, we want to accumulate positions where near support zone. That could be one, right? And as you can see, like previously, right, the stock actually traded kind of like sideways from September in 2025 to the start of 2026, right? Kind of like within this, I would say 170 to about 185, this $15 range, right? And if you see this right over here, right, it kind of like, can you see this? It is like a $15 range projection up and up, right? So that is how we actually kind of like got the support levels as well. Because if you were to think about it in the price action and you look at the price action, observe the price action, that is where all the levels are actually tested, right? 170. Buyers came in, support the prices, push price back up to 185, tested, rejected, came back down, right? And then subsequently managed to break above it, this 185 turned to become what we call a new higher support, right? Tested this 200 as a resistance right over here, came down again, right? This was when the war actually happened. The entire market sold off, tested this level, rebounded back up very quickly, and right now we are holding back above this 200 level right over here. So I would say that if you are thinking about taking profits, right, of course, take profits where near resistance mark, right? When we do this projection, this $15 projection based off the $200 support, right, you can see that the next upside target that we are looking towards, perhaps could be towards the 215, right? That could be the next upside target. If you're thinking about taking some profits off the table, realize the profits, fine, right? You can actually do it near this 215, set some alerts, right, near the sell zone, right? But don't have to take your full profits lah, because your average cost price, as we mentioned, is super low, right? $63. That was I don't know how long you actually bought this stock and hold this stock for. $60. Maybe 2020, 5 years. Yeah, perhaps maybe 5 over years, 2020, since then until now. Definitely very patient man, right? So don't have to take profits for the full position, because you are in a very, very safe spot, right? And you are thinking about accumulating position, right? That is great, right? But we also don't want to anyhow buy, right? We want to buy near only support zone. So as mentioned, right over here, I think near the $200, right, definitely is a psychological support, and this could be one of the zones that you could be setting some price alerts as well. Okay, I mean, overall, definitely uptrend for Simon Property Group still looks great. We have 2-1 really bullish signal. Prices is still holding above 200. I think for this stock, right, the only thing that perhaps you might want to take note of and keep a lookout for will be for Monday, right? Because again, Monday is earning. We are in the midst of earnings season, right? Monday, they are actually releasing results after market close. So there could be some volatility returning to this counter as well. So that's something just for you to take note too. Okay, so that would be for Simon Property Group. I think the last stock request for today, and I'll pass my time over back to Joey so that he can kickstart for today's bonus session.
All right, thank you so much, Z. And there we have it, guys. We have covered a total of 15 stocks, all right, as per our target, as what we do every single session. We've gone on for more than 2 hours now. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for engaging, typing in the chat, and even typing in the chat your stocks as well. I hope, or we hope that we have given value to you guys, and and covered your stocks. We try our best. All right. For those of you who we don't have time to cover your stocks, apologies. Very sorry. We don't have time to cover every of them. All right. Maybe you can join us in the next Friday. Ask me any stock session again, and we'll try to cover the stock again. Right. So I think next Friday we're back to the Singapore market. Right. So next Friday, then we're back to the US market. Okay, Ken. So let's move on to the very next segment, which would be what we call the top 3 bonus stocks that me, Jia Yi, and Z would like to share with you guys. In fact, some of those stocks were actually asked by you guys, right, in the chat. So, we did purposely skip it because, we'll be covering it anyway at the end, right? So what will be the very first bonus stock for today? Let me go to share my screen, and that will be this stock right over here called Caterpillar. The code is CAT, trading at $895. So Caterpillar has been one of the stock that has been in our watch list, I would say, since early or beginning of last year, right? Very strong longer term uptrend. I mean, look at this, right? You can see that when we have bullish signals coming out, there we go, bullish, there we go. Every time a bearish signal comes out, well, started to see a bit of a profit taking, a bit of a pullback, nothing too worried about, right? Wait for the time to get back in. And over the past 1 month, well, we got 2 1GT bullish signals actually appearing. So we were kind of like consolidating below this 800 psychological resistance level, right? However, we broke the 800. You can see right over here, we got the bullish signals. We broke the 800, and more upside momentum actually came back quite fast, I would say, over the past 3 weeks. And now we are like 895. So it has gone up, right? So why am I actually, covering this stock? Because it has gone up. Well, doesn't mean it has gone up means cannot go up some more, right? I think that's what we have covered, right? Some of the stocks that you guys were asking about, it has moved up by not 10, not 20, not 50%, but 80%, 90%. All right. And that's the power of riding the trend. We're not looking at 5%, 10%, but we are maximizing our profits with gains of maybe anything more than even 100%. All right. And look at this, right? 2 bullish signals. Long-term trend is up. The green 20 days moving average line that was down in March, down, started to point up as well last month. Is it still pointing up? Yes. Obviously, it is still pointing up, right? The short-term trend is up, aligned with the longer-term trend. The bullish signals are in place. So I would say right now that apart from it being higher and a bit more expensive, I agree, right? It still looks good, right? So we never want to think about buying on cheapness, all right? I think we have covered some of those stocks whereby you guys were asking about, and it goes down and down and down and down, right? And then if you buy, then good luck to you, lah. It starts going down even more, and then it becomes cheaper. Then hopefully you get, you have more money to buy even cheaper, right? But if you just keep on buying into cheapness, into cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, all right, that's where you're throwing good money after bad money. We never want to do that. We buy into strength, right? We buy into what we call stocks that have already proven themselves in an uptrend, that have already shown bullish signals on top of other confirmations that we seek, right? So we have what we call like a 7-step checklist. We have a 7-step checklist that kind of like, break it all down, all right, for you guys, right? In fact, I mean, essentially, right, this 7-step checklist is where we actually talk about it in a webinar. So we don't have any webinars, I would say, probably in the next few weeks, but we do have one maybe like 3 weeks time or something, right? So Tim just place the link in the chat. If you want to find a bit more about the entire strategy, right, the One Good Trend strategy, or maybe even have access to the very same tools that we're using, the One Good Trend Pro Indicator, attend a free webinar, right? The link is right in the chat. Click on it. That's where I look forward to break it all down for you even more. But the point here is that when we get bullish signals plus other confirmations, we get 4 out of 7 points in the checklist that we have. That is where we call it a high conviction trade setup. That is where when we enter with conviction. Right? We don't enter with guessing, thinking, blur, don't know what to do, maybe see how. No, right? We enter with conviction, right? Because we get what we need, we see what we need, the cards has been selected, all right? The cards have played out, we take our necessary actions, all right? And that's for Caterpillar. You can see right over here, broke the 800 psychological resistance, even the 850. So when it broke 800, you can see that we actually rested a while from 800 to 850, up, down, and eventually you can see 850 has given way as well. So not even 800. I would say right now, the support has gone from 800 to that 850, right? So my take is this. I think, anything above 850, not 800, a bit too low already. I don't know whether you go to 800, it's a bit too low now, all right? But anything above 850, I think that's where potentially we could see some bargain hunting coming back, right? That I would say would be a very good entry zone on dips, right? Especially if we do see some bullish candlestick right over here. The uptrend is still pretty much intact all the way to a slight, I would say, temporary resistance level, maybe around the 930 level. Right over there, you can see that is pretty much where we have seen selling over the past two nights, right? So 850 all the way to 920. And if you can turn on, as I say, another powerful feature based on this 1GT Pro indicator, the trailing support level. Let's turn it on, pump. You can see that since having the bullish signals appearing in April, right, a trailing support that is below the price actually popped out. I think we talked about it, right? It follows the price, it gives it the space to breathe. It popped up, and as the price move up, it has followed it as it move up. Obviously, we're still above it. There's still some space between the price and the trailing support. So trailing support is maybe around 830, all right? Horizontal support that I've drawn, 850. So anything above like 830 or 850, as I say, the uptrend remains intact. There could still be more legs to this rally. All right, so that's my very first stock. I'll share with you guys. Caterpillar, the code is CAT. Put it in your watch list, all right? Hopefully, right, even more upside. Targets could be all the way to 1,000, 1,001, 1,002. Potentially, that could be where selling can come back again. All right, now let me pass on the mic to Jia to cover his bonus for today. Jia?
Right, thank you, Joey. So the next stock, my bonus stock actually will be on this counter, Alphabet. So I think just now, just looking through, I think Scott was asking about Alphabet. I believe, hopefully you're still here to listen for the bonus stock. So for Alphabet, I mean, with the 1GT indicator, I mean, you can see clearly that previously there was 1GT bullish signal quite a few times, 1, 2, 3, 4 back last year. So I mean, if you have the indicator when you enter near this area, and when you exit near the 1GT bearish signal, you could have upside of 100% lah. But I mean, we look at the near term since it's already in the past. So currently, I would say Google, Alphabet, actually previously was kept under this 350 psychological level. So you can see that back in February and also back in April, prices was kept under this 350 level quite a few times. Prices came to test this level, Back then in Feb, it wasn't able to break above, came down close to that support of maybe 300, and afterwards couldn't stay above 300. 1GT bearish, another 1GT bearish, came back down, came close to that 270 level, which is also a temporary support. Afterwards, it started to show more strength again, and there was a 1GT bullish signal. So if we were to turn on the trailing support, we can see that prices actually came down, afterwards break above this trailing resistance near that $300 level. So that was a sign, that was the first 1GT bullish signal that appeared. So if back then, if you notice this counter, if you entered, you will be sitting on some profit. And afterwards, actually after the earnings, prices actually broke above this 350 level, which actually now turns into a new support level. So overall, if you look at the trend, I mean, nothing to say. 100 days, 200 days, and the 20 days are all pointing upwards. It's all showing strength. Where might be the next resistance? I mean, if you look at it near-term wise, if you look at it, previously it was trading around that $50 range. Or if you just project it upwards, I would say near-term wise, there's a resistance near this 400 psychological level. So I mean, if you're looking at this counter and if you're looking to enter, 400 might be a resistance level. Wouldn't recommend you to enter immediately unless prices are able to break firmly above this 400. Or if not, if prices, sellers come back in to push the price back down towards that 350, that could be an area which is also near your trailing support. So near this area of like 350 to maybe around 362, that could be an entry level that you might consider to enter if prices come back down to this level, or if prices break above this 400, which turn into a new support. 400 and above might be a zone which you can consider to enter, which is a buy zone. And just doing a simple projection, the next upside is towards that 450 level. So I think Google is one of the counter that we also monitor. And I mean, this counter was also covered quite a few times in our monthly newsletter. So clients under us, I mean, last year, this year, actually we covered quite a few times on Google, and it has been hitting our targets quite a few times. So I mean, if you're a client under us, I believe you have been receiving the monthly newsletter from us every start of the month. If you're not a client under us, feel free to join us. I mean, you will receive such newsletter and also daily updates on certain stocks that you can monitor as well. So I mean, maybe the team can put the link in the chat. So those who are actually interested and not a client under us, feel free to join us. And yeah, if not, that's all for Google. And I'll pass on my time to Z to cover her bonus stock.
All right, thanks, Jiayi. Nice one. Okay, so let me move on to the last bonus stock that I'd like to share with you guys today, and that would be, for mine, right, would be Dell. Okay, for Dell. And I think just now I saw, who was it that was asking about Dell? Darren. Yeah, Darren, I hope you are still here. Darren was actually asking about Dell, looking to add position in Dell. Currently do have position, uptrend since March, right? A good entry point, key resistance to level to take note of. Okay, fantastic. So let's take a look at Dell together. All right. So this is Dell right over here. And I think Darren is right? Darren said that the uptrend actually started in March. That was when we got the very first 1GT bullish signal actually appearing right over here. Actually, not even March, 27th of February, the 1GT bullish signal appeared already, right? But we then subsequently, over the next couple of days, we do get confirmation from the moving averages. You can see that the green line, right, short-term trend, right, actually crossed above both the longer-term one. And 1 month later, you can see that this red and the blue line was actually kind of like crisscrossing, testing each other, right? But subsequently, the red emerged out above the blue, which is a very classic uptrend moving average sequence that we want to see. Green, red, then blue, right? And all three of them are pointing up. So I would say definitely Dell, it is in a pretty good, strong uptrend. And I would say that this is quite a beautiful chart, right? So when you think about Dell as well, right, we want to see where are the support and the resistance for Dell, because now if the stock is in an uptrend, you want to think about buying, sure, right? But we don't want to anyhow buy, okay? So right over here, you can see that previously Dell, right, there was some sort of resistance around this 170, close to this 170 back in October, November, when it tested this level as a resistance, unable to break above. Bearish signal came in, bears came in, push price back down, right over here, tested again. And remember just now what I mentioned about like March, April, that was when, the war actually started and the market sold off and things like that, right? Yeah, I mean, Dell was probably also, none of the stocks were actually spared, right? So this area, it was actually tested, right? But very quickly, you can see that Dell regained the upward momentum. Buyers came in to scoop prices back up, and this is where we are at, which is last night closed at 230, right? So 170, I would say, will be from a resistance turn to become a support, and subsequently we do find higher support along the way. Where? And that would be 200 right over here, because you can see that price actually went up, right? Tested this 220, right? And you can see for this couple of candlesticks, this week right over here, right? You can see that, wow, the candlestick have a lot of long upper shadows, right? And when long upper shadows actually appear, it tells you that during the trading session, sellers are strong, right? They are stronger than the bulls, the buyers, because they are pushing the price down, right? And it's near this 220. And subsequently, I mean, of course, the bears won, right? Push price back down, get down right over here, and then suddenly the story flipped, right? That is where you start to see candlesticks with long lower shadows instead, and buyers came in to push price back up, right? So it was actually trading between this $20 range, I think from April to May, about like 1 to 2 months period, and this is where we are at, right? And price, 2 days ago, price actually has a very long bullish candlestick, and this is usually what we call Marubozu, right? And right over here, yesterday, this red candlestick was actually within this green candlestick. So just a little tip for this, right? Usually what they actually call this, right, is actually a harami. So if you want to go and find out a bit more, you can go and Google about it. It's called harami, right? And it is typically a bearish harami pattern, whereby what it means, right, it actually indicates weakness in the bullish momentum and a possible reversal, right? A possible pullback. I'm not saying that confirm there will be pullback, but a possible pullback, right? Towards where? Towards potentially support level, right? And the support level that I've mentioned earlier on, immediate support level around the 220, right? The next one, like what we mentioned, $200 psychological level, right? So I think for those of you who are looking at Dell, or maybe even Darren, right, thinking about getting into Dell, right? Where are your potential zones that you can set some price alert? Of course, number one would be around the 220. Number two will be around the 200. I mean, I wouldn't know whether the 220 will actually hold. This would be the immediate, right? But I mean, we got to see how the price play out over these couple of days and the next week. Whether this 220, is it really a legit new higher support that's being found, right? Otherwise, $200 definitely psychological level. And if I were to turn on this trailing support and resistance, can you see that this trailing support resistance, like mentioned earlier on, it follows prices as it moves up, it accounts for the stock volatility, and this trailing support, it is very near the $200 psychological support as drawn, right? So potentially, this could be where some can consider to accumulate some position as well, right? Near the $200 psychological support. And in terms of resistance, taking profits wise, at this point in time, currently, based on what we are seeing, based on the price action, I would say that the resistance will be around the 240, right? 240 at this point in time. Okay, so I mean, subsequently, if the price were to play out and you start to see some consolidation happening, then that's when we can do another projection up, right? And that's how we actually find out, where is the next upside target if prices were to break certain levels. Okay, so for Dell now, I would say that definitely it's still looking pretty bullish, looking pretty good, right? But potentially based on the candlestick pattern that I've just shared with you guys, perhaps we might see some potential pullback, right? Potential pullback, but as long as I think it is holding above the trailing support, holding above the $200 psychological level, it still looks great, right? It still looks great. But of course, do think about your stop loss plan as well. If prices were to break down below the $200, then what happens? Then that's where perhaps you might want to reduce some exposure. Okay, so that would be for Dell. I hope that helps to give you something to think about. If you guys like Dell, can add it into your watch list. Otherwise, I'll pass my time back over to Joey to close off today's session.
All right, thank you so much. And there we have it, guys. We have pretty much covered a total of three stocks. And the three stocks will be Caterpillar by me, Caterpillar, Jia covered on Alphabet, or Alphabet GOOGL, and Z just covered on Dell Technology, DELL. So I hope that you guys got value in the entire session today. It's almost like 1 p.m. No, it's more than 1 p.m. So more than 2 hours, guys. We're live. Thank you so much for sticking with us. All right, we hope that you got value. We hope that you like these 3 bonus stocks at the end as well. All right, and we look forward to see you guys in the next Friday AMAS session. So next Friday, we'll be going back to the Singapore market. We'll be going back to the Singapore market. So we look forward to see you guys again. All right, and hopefully we can cover the Singapore stocks that you guys are asking about. All right, so let me know if you got value today. V for value, guys. If you got value, especially if you have covered your stock, V for value. Let me know. Just want to acknowledge all of you for this thing over here. Thanks, Darren. Thanks, Z. Super great insights. Awesome. All right, let's see who's still joining us over here. Thank you so much, Catherine. Value as well. Value. Awesome, right? Really appreciate all of you over here. So I think that's it for today's session. Have a good weekend. Final shout out. Well, essentially, if you want to test drive my one good trend LITE indicator, that we have been using, me, Jia Yi and Z have been using. We're using the pro version, but we do have a LITE version, the simpler version. Test drive it for free. The link is right in the chat. All right, so that you can be guided on what to do, when to get in, when not to get in also. All right, and maybe when to get out. Test drive the one good trend LITE indicator. link is right in the chat. Tim just place the link in the chat again. I think pretty much it's like all the way floating up already. All right, so link is right in the chat. Check it out, okay? And we look forward for you to explore a little bit more and to learn more about the one good trend strategy as well. Maybe I can pass on the mic to Jia Yi or Z just to add on a few, anything you want to say?
On my end, nothing much. But yeah, just want to thank you guys for always keep coming back, building this community together, learning together. And yeah, for next week, I think I'll be on a short holiday, short break. But don't worry, I think next week Bervin will be here to replace me. If you guys miss Bervin, he'll be back here once again for the Singapore market. I will just put the link in the chat as well for the next AMS talk on Friday. So you guys can subscribe to Joey's channel, get notified whenever we go live.
Yep, so I'll be here with Bervin next week to cover on SG stock. So anyone interested in SG, I think just now someone was asking about Nam Chong. Yeah, feel free to join us next week. Yeah, and we'll be covering your Singapore stocks.
Exactly, right? So next Friday, guys, we're back to the Singapore market. So if you're looking at the Singapore market, make sure you join us live Friday, 10:30 a.m. We'll go live and we'll look forward to cover your Singapore stocks. As I say, right, Singapore is one thing, right? I mean, you can wait until Friday to get some, top Singapore stock. We'll share 3 bonus stocks at the end next Friday as well, Singapore stock. But if you want to get it a bit faster, you want to get it daily, not every Friday, but every day, kind of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right? By WhatsApp, faster, check out if you're not yet a client of mine in Philip Securities. You do not have a trading account under me. You're not getting any service from your own broker. It's a platform. It's an online. Nobody bother about you. Nobody care about you. Nobody help you anything. Link is right in the chat. We look forward to work together with you, with my top broking team in Philip Securities, whereby you get ideas daily. All right. So that's it for today. Signing off. Have a good weekend. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye everyone. Take care. Bye bye.